putting things together that may or may not be true, but because
Rhys Hoskins is a Cub, Seth Lugo is a Red Sox.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
They just are in the rumor world.
Or you get news like Dodgers and Ohtani met for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, that kind of news. I think that's interesting, though.
You do.
Actually. Well, here's why. Because Shohei Ohtani made it clear that he didn't want anybody and any team and any organization talking about him meeting with them. But apparently Dave Roberts acknowledged today that they did meet with Shohei Ohtani, as you said, a couple of days ago for a couple of hours. So he's the first person to divulge even the most basic information about Ohtani. And this whole thing has been playing out in secrecy. If Ohtani's true to his word, Tony, he should X the Dodgers off his list. And of course, that's what we want. That's what we want to hear anyway. I mean, that would be not a nightmare scenario for the Padres, but the last place we want him to go is the Dodgers.
Yeah,
anybody else, but not there.
The ESPN article goes on to say that Dave Roberts acknowledged that they met with Shohei a couple days ago.
Not allowed to do that,
becoming
Dave.
the first person
that's right.
to divulge even the most basic information about the highly talented free agent. Now, I know Dave personally. I would like to believe that Dave got an okay before going in front of the press. And
I'd be surprised if Dave Roberts was that loose-lipped.
I would be
in a situation like this with everything at stake. But who knows?
The opposite happened with John Schneider, the manager for the Blue Jays. He wouldn't even acknowledge that he knew who Shohei was.
Who?
Exactly.
Show who?
So
that's funny.
Obviously, this is where we're at, and until that particular domino falls,
it looks like everything else is on hold.
Everything else is going to be on hold.
Yeah, somebody send a private jet, fly Sammy Levitt home.
Yeah, he's not going to be.
He's just running around looking for late night meals right now in Nashville.
if he's finding anything.
Yeah. No, it's kind of frustrating, but in a lot of ways, look, they have the winter meetings so that these guys can all get together and talk. But the interesting thing is, Tony, and I know, and I think most listeners probably realize, a trade or a free agent signing does not have to happen during the winter meetings.
That's right. It's not the parameters can be put together.
It can be, but you can put the parameters together after the winter meetings. You can put the free agent offer in whenever you like to. The winter meetings are just a way for these guys to meet in the same location, kind of shake hands, say hello to each other. But the winter meetings are not a window that is open, only for that time to make trades and free agent. Now, if that were the case, then we'd get the flurry of activity that we're thinking about that we're going to get. But really, like you said, until Ohtani signs and everybody knows what the market is, very few teams are going to be willing to step outside their comfort zone and make a move.
Yeah, because, when you're talking about a guy like Shohei Ohtani, which is at least reportedly going to cost you somewhere between $450 and $500+ million.
Yeah.
Him being on your team can actually decide whether you are going to spend elsewhere or bring someone else in. So,
or guess what? What if Ohtani were to sign for $10 million and you already gave Seth Lugo $25 million? Now you look like an idiot.
Right. You definitely don't like that.
I know Ohtani's not going to sign for $10 million, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to see what the top dog is going to get before they're willing to hand out a bunch of cash.
Right. So, and that goes for the players too. They want to see what the top dog, because he's going to set the market. And
he's going to set it for everybody.
Everybody else will follow suit. So we'll keep you updated on anything that pops up here in the next 4 hours.
But I'm holding Shohei's feet to the fire on this one.
Yeah.
If he ends up signing with the Dodgers, I'm going to call BS on his statement that there's to be no discussion of me talking with any team out there, because now there has been discussion about the Dodgers.
To be fair, we never actually heard from Shohei on that particular thing. It was reported that he was certainly
that could be different.
Yeah.
Then.
So he has that to kind of fall back on if
he changes, if the Dodgers offer him the most money. It's so hilarious to me, Tony. You've been around it for years and years, your dad and the whole thing. I mean, your dad was one of the guys that didn't take the most money, right? He was one of the very few, passed up on opportunities, despite, from what my sources tell me, his own son telling him to leave. I have a good source on that one who told me that his own son even said, "Dad, you have my permission to go to Cleveland." And he didn't do it. But 95% of the players, I don't know if that number's too high, but I don't think it is, wind up taking what is the best money offer. Do they not? I mean,
most players,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about, well, I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to be in this situation, I want to be in that situation, but it's really not. It's about who offers the best, most bang for the buck.
I think once a player dwindles down, who's interested in where he wants to go, yes, it then becomes about out of that group,
right? I guess you could just eliminate a team, like if the Rockies, come out with a Chris Bryant offer, maybe Shohei Ohtani's going to still say no.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go to that crappy of an organization.
That doesn't seem like a good fit
that's
for
a crappy organization, even though they will offer me the most money. But if it comes down to, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Cubs,
right, that's a
the
different
Angels,
story.
He's going to probably take as much as he can get.
Right. And that's the kind of way it goes. What you guys, Craig?
Well, someone in San Diego has already done their share in trying to get Shohei Ohtani to town. Did you guys see the new street that was possibly going to be named after him?
The possible street. Yeah,
yes,
I saw that.
Yes. So if you're on the freeway, I'm not sure where this is, but I do see Claremont Mesa Boulevard exit, and there's a sign that says Convoy Asian Cultural District, next 2 exits, and underneath it, it says Future Shohei Ohtani Boulevard. So,
yeah, I know exactly where they're talking about because it's pretty close to this particular neighborhood. Yes, it's very close to where we are right here. And there's a lot of Asian restaurants there, really good Asian restaurants. And they Conway right there south of the 52.
One of my final meals, Chris, was remember on Friday, Tony, our countdown was top 5 last meals. And one of mine was a big old plate of Chinese food. So before I got on this SD fat loss diet, I ate a big old plate of Chinese
Good for
food.
you, man.
Yeah, on his last meal. That's why we did
Can I
that
say
countdown.
something about Shohei Ohtani that's not popular?
Do we want to hear this?
I think it needs to be said.
Oh, you think? Okay, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Have at it.
I don't think he's a good fit for this team. I personally don't think he's a good fit for any team with the amount of money he's requiring. I don't think that he is going to live up to the contract. I just don't think it's going to happen.
So if he does what he's done the last 3 years.
For the next 10, then I'm in.
No, not for the next 10. Nobody who gets a 10-year plays all 10 years at that level. No one. It's never been done.
So what if he can't pitch to the level he did before because he's coming off of another Tommy John surgery?
Well, he's not going to pitch next season at all, right? But I mean, when you think about the fact that he's hit 114 home runs over the last 3 years, who's next on that list? I mean,
Aaron Judge.
All right, Aaron Judge. But you know what I mean? I mean, this guy's a powerhouse that's going to carry a line. He's going to change the complexion of any team's lineup. Is he not?
For the immediate future, but
the immediate future might be 5 years. I mean, you want it to be for 10, and Tony's right. He's not going to be, when he's at the age of 38, he's probably not going to be, popping 46 home runs anymore.
I would think not, but if I see one more, Xander Bogaerts is the reason this team isn't going to succeed. His contract, like signing Shohei Ohtani, to me is the same thing.
Well, it's not his contract. It's that those people who are tweeting that are saying he's not going to be predicting Shohei's going to be fine. Now, whether he pitches and comes back to the level after having Tommy John, we've seen pitchers do it. Now, inevitably, when you're signing a two-way player like this, which he's the first of his kind to hit free agency, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
You have to weigh the risk that he won't be able to sustain this level doing both things the rest of the way. However,
that had to cost him a little money.
That had to cost him a little. However, if he's still going to give you what he gave you offensively at the level he gave it to you offensively, I think you're still sitting
Skraby,
pretty
Skraby,
good.
keep this in mind. Only 3 guys in all of Major League Baseball had an OPS over 1,000 last year. Ronald Acuna Jr., Corey Seager, and Ohtani. And Ohtani had the best of anybody. On top of that, he had 20 stolen bases. This guy still provides you some base running as well. His slugging percentage was .654. That was the best in all of Major League Baseball. He's clearly 91 walks, which is right up there among the leaders. Soto led, of course, with 132. He's clearly, if not the best offensive weapon in the entire game, even if he doesn't pitch at all.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I mean, the offensive side is a whole different thing, but teams are going to be paying.
He's not worth it.
I'm saying that I don't believe he's going to be able to live up to the big contract because there is no idea of whether or not he's going to come back and be a Cy Young type pitcher after his injury.
So again,
you're just paying for offense only. Like, I would love to know how they're negotiating this contract. If you pitch a certain amount of innings or whatever.
If Ronald Acuna Jr. was, let's say he didn't sign the deal that he signed and he was up for free agent, would he be worth that kind of money?
500?
450, 500?
I don't know about no.
Aren't we?
No one is. We go back to when Mike Trout got signed for over 500
real life,
million.
Okay, maybe no one is. But in baseball life, clearly someone is. They were talking about the same number for Juan Soto. Am I missing? Did I not hear that?
You are not.
Soto's getting up. He's going to be 354, maybe 5.
That's what I'm saying.
So if he's going to be there, Ohtani's got to be there, even if he doesn't throw another pitch.
So imagine if he's only half the pitcher that he was before he got hurt.
He only wins 15 games and has an ERA of 3 instead of 20 games with an ERA of 2.
I mean,
as long as he's hitting 40+ home runs a year,
all right,
driving in runs.
Your point is understandable.
Tread lightly, Chris, with the insult you're about to throw my way.
Throwing an insult
he's about to. Really
I'm telling you that in the realm of the real world,
right,
$500 million is ridiculous. But in the realm of the world we're talking, it is far from that.
Here, I got something from Ken Rosenthal earlier today that I was reading. He wrote an article about why Juan Soto needs to be traded. And he's going that route because he said multiple times he thinks it's going to happen. But he is saying that like a guy like Cody Bellinger, MLBTradeRumors.com is projecting he's going to receive a 12-year, $264 million deal. Is that... would you pay that for Cody Bellinger?
I would not, but not because the money's too much.
Because 12 years?
Because he hasn't shown the consistency.
I would not, because he's right. He hasn't shown the consistency. He did it 1 year after 3 years of not being able to get the ball out of the infield. So to me, that would be far too risky. Ohtani has been consistently the top slugger in baseball, along with Aaron Judge, for the last 3 or 4 years.
While also
that's a
punching
pretty good
people
track record
in pretty much every start, about 10 of them.
I'm with you. I love Shohei Ohtani, the player.
Doesn't sound like it.
If you could tell me
like
4 years from now, he's going to have good stats offensively and decent stats pitching,
if you
pay the man.
If you get
but you can't know that
5 years out of a 10-year deal and he's doing that, it's worth it.
I will agree with you on that.
If
he's doing this, yeah.
It's worth it.
Because he's probably up for MVP maybe one or two more times.
Without a doubt.
And are you telling me that if the Padres somehow finagle their way into the sweepstakes,
I'm going to cheer it on
we
like
report
crazy
one day that Shohei Ohtani is coming to the Padres,
I'm going to cheer it on. I'm going to be the first one there to say hello to him.
Fair enough. All right. I hope John Morosi will join us here shortly. I just got a text from him. I haven't got a chance to open it yet.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's not something saying, he should be good to go.
Okay,
240.
Good.
All right.
That's live updating right there.
John Morosi, will join us at 240. The Daily Gambit. We got a fantabulous sports game show.
Coming off a championship.
Champ is here. Champ is here.
Last one?
Yeah,
strangely,
the
champ is Skraby.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Strangely, the reigning champ is Skraby right now. You'll have a chance to turn that around again today, Tony.
Big Five, Chris versus the fans. We got it all. Sit back, relax. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. We'll talk a little Mike Shildt. He spoke at the winter meetings.
Your kids may not function on demand, but 97.3 The Fan always will. Download and subscribe to the Ben
right, here we go. 2:21 is the time. Welcome back, Gwynn and Chris. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. Together in the Odyssey Palace studios here. You can listen to the program on San Diego's finest, 97.3 The Fan. You can also watch the show, YouTube, and search for 97.3 The Fan. You can watch the stream of us here in the studio, and this is me, and that's Tony and Skraby. We sit in a triangle formation, although it doesn't come out that way on your screen. We get asked all the time, where do you guys actually sit? Well, we all sit in a chair is where we all actually sit.
Good answer.
That's the best answer I can give you. But we sit in a triangle formation. I am to Tony's left. Skraby is to my left. Tony is to Skraby's left. That's really the best I can do.
Triangle of power.
That's the best I can do for you. So hope you enjoy on the YouTube stream. I know many of you like to watch the program now. We love to bring it to you. We'll be here till 6 o'clock today. As Tony mentioned, Jon Morosi from MLB Network will be joining us from Nashville in about 20 minutes. So whatever is happening at the baseball winter meetings, he will update us. Sam Levitt will also be on the program a little later today with a Nashville report. And circle the 3:30 segment today, because Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show figures to be a doozy as Tony tries to get back in the win column against Mr. Skraby. Speaking of Sam Levitt, guys, well done. Nice interview. Sam Levitt with Mike Shildt, Padre manager. He posted it online. It's on Twitter. So if you want to get an up close and personal with the Padres' new manager, Mike Shildt, you can check out that interview. Go to Twitter, call up 97.3 The Fan, or search for that. You'll find it.
Yeah, on X it's 97.3 The Fan SD, and then on Instagram it's 97.3 The Fan.
This scenario is, by the way, and listen, no, you hate to see folks leave organizations, whatnot, but this is like the best thing that happens for a guy like Sam, who's been cultivating relationships in that dugout and that clubhouse, and Mike Shildt being one of them was a coach on the staff.
Right, he already knew him.
So that leads to a good
being
interview.
able to walk up to Mike Shildt and go, "Hey, do you mind hanging out with me for 10 minutes?"
100%, and him more than willing to do it because he's already kind of.
I equate Mike Shildt in one way to Matt Skraby. They're both a little disheveled. I really appreciate that about Mike Shildt.
Wait, what?
It comes off as genuine.
It's a genuine look, and I think for you it is as well, Skraby. It's kind of a genuine look, but just a little, hair or two's out of place. Shirt doesn't fit. It's not a tailored suit. Like, he doesn't look. Nobody. Okay, Mike Shildt is not going to remind anybody of Pat Riley.
No, he's comfortable.
You know what I'm saying?
He's comfortable in his skin.
That's right, and so are you. So it was the best compliment I've got for you.
I tell you what. I think what the fan base will get to see over time is how competitive Mike Shildt is. A real quick story: early in the season, when I didn't mind getting up early, right? It's pretty fresh. The coach's staff would get up and they'd find a pickleball place wherever we were.
Oh, to play pickleball
in the country, right?
All right.
And so, like, for the first, say, 2 trips, I was willing to get up early and go with these guys. And I'm telling you, Mike Shildt is extremely competitive.
Really?
Extremely competitive. So
out. Tony, that was not out. That caught the line. What are you looking at over there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
all right.
I think they'll enjoy that.
I like competitive people. I definitely do. All right. So let's hear a little bit from Mike Shildt with Sammy Levitt today.
It was not. I'm sorry.
Oh, this part is not from Sammy Levitt.
This is his press conference.
Okay, this is his press conference.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. So you'll hear some things from Mike Shildt right now.
This is a different press conference.
This is the official winter meetings Mike Shildt get together.
All right. So, but there's a little more.
So not a press conference, but like the scrum they did do there.
Scrum, sure.
Okay.
Yes,
a scrum.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But
I was saying, didn't they do a press conference here?
Is it a presser?
Presser can work.
Okay.
I don't know
but
about
if you go on, but if you go on, if you go on Twitter, go on Instagram or wherever, you can find Sam's sit down with Mike Shildt. It's not a sit down.
He's actually standing.
It's a stand up with Mike Shildt. Yes, but you can see, and I don't know. The disheveled will be the first word that probably comes to your mind. But again, as Tony said, Mike Shildt very comfortable in his own skin. So I appreciate that about him. He was asked today how he believes expectations should be set entering the upcoming Padres season.
I love that question. When we talk about expectations, so they run in a couple parallels, right? So you've got the expectation of, yes, San Diego, and let's pause for a moment to the legacy of Peter Seidler, who's created this wonderful vision for the city of San Diego. And you can create a vision, but he also supported the vision of what that can look like for us to win San Diego's first World Championship and World Series championship. And you look at that, and that is the goal. And there's going to be 29 other managers that sit up here and say similar things that are looking towards that. We've also backed it up. We've got a good core of what that looks like remaining in place to make that happen. I will say this: a trap that can happen, perhaps did. I don't know. All I know is moving forward, how we'll think about things. If we prepare every day, Jeff asked about the schedule. We play against ourselves on the schedule. We have an opponent we're going to respect. We get an opportunity every day to get better as the season goes, better as the game goes, series goes, season goes. And so if you create an expectation of just continual improvement and togetherness and playing the game right, you're going to get the best version of your club. And so one of the first things is that, and then a tangible goal. We need to be able to compete better within our division. Now, clearly, wild card teams have historically still won World Series. We get in the wild card, we'll take our shot at it. But let's be a little more competitive consistently, which speaks to that body of work, day by day, brick by brick, that we're discussing. Those are the expectations that lead to a bigger picture expectations. And I want to make sure we're staying present and not getting escaped and losing a vision that is out there without putting the day-to-day, brick by brick work together in.
One thing I believe in, if you have a ball club and a season and an organization, it seems to me, Tony, that every single thing you do has to be with a championship in the back of your mind. Like every game. I mean, preparing, practicing, traveling, writing out the lineup card. Every little thing you do has to have a championship in mind. And I think you got to set that tone early, and I think that's Mike Shildt's plan.
I think that is a very good observation, because it's not just on the field. It really is a all-encompassing mindset, right? And the thing that he mentioned, and by he I mean Mike Shildt, was within the division.
Yeah.
And if you think about the last 2 years, even in the year that the Padres did really well and got to the NLCS, within the division wasn't great. They weren't, it wasn't just the Dodgers that they struggled with, right? It was there was always multiple teams in that division. And I think that's where it starts, right? Is we've talked about this before. Often we talk about a World Series, but you got to crawl before you walk. The division is the first goal, right? That's the first goal, but it's an important goal within that championship mindset. And that has seemingly come up short over the last, outside of the 2020 season, it's come up short.
It's not even the division so much as it's the Dodgers. I mean, the Padres, I know they won the series and the playoff, and that's a great feather in our cap that we will never forget. But they can't beat the Dodgers in general. And that's got to – they got to start at least playing them even up.
Yeah.
You can't – how many games are there now? 13 in the division?
13 in the division.
You can't go 3-10. That's hard to make up those 7 games in the standings. You've got to go 6-7 at least. They've got to start beating the Dodgers. When's the last time they won the season series against the Dodgers?
The Padres were 27-25 in the division last year.
Okay, but not against the Dodgers.
Even if it's not against the Dodgers, it has to improve in general.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's 2 teams that finished better than them. The Diamondbacks were 29-23 in the division, and the Dodgers were 34-18 in the division. And that's typically 34. That number, and that's where the Padres, I think, have to improve. They play well against some of the best teams in the league outside of that, right? It was just those, and I think Mike was alluding to it. Sometimes when you have that championship mindset and you're thinking about that goal, you could overlook some of the opponents that you should take care of business against.
Yeah, well, the Rockies would fit that bill because the Rockies seem to beat them too many times also during the course of a season. All right, we'll hear a lot more from Mike Shildt as the program goes along. We'll be able to sprinkle his comments throughout the show. But when we come back, John Morosi from MLB Network, very connected, very good to our program. He will join us from Nashville with the very latest on the baseball winter meetings. Stick around. It's next.
The biggest fan contest is back.
According to Dennis Lynn last night, he writes on Monday, however, it was unclear just how much the Padres were prepared to do before arriving at a resolution on Soto. They and other teams have been speaking with free agent catcher Martin Maldonado, who at age 37 should require only a modest deal. As for the San Diego starter needs in the rotation and the bullpen, Preller referenced the previous offseason. So, again, not a lot is probably going to happen until Shohei is done. And what's interesting about Shohei is because he's a two-way player, and although he won't pitch next year, there are teams that I'm sure have fully in mind that after the 2024 season, he will be back pitching, and that is going to be factored into the equation. So that's not just holding up the position player side. It's going to hold up the pitching side, too.
And the other thing is a lot of guys who have the Tommy John surgery seem to be stronger and better when they come back from it and actually throwing harder. I mean, there's a lot of guys that's been the case with.
There has. And we only see those stories, quite frankly. You don't hear about the guy who hasn't gotten back to his status level and doesn't make it. But there are plenty of those too. But,
well, Shohei's agent's not going to be bringing those guys up.
No, he's not. I only bring that up because I don't want people thinking that, especially these young high schoolers, that Tommy John is the way to go in order to.
Right. Let me just get Tommy John. I'll be good.
That's not what it is. So, as we've been talking about, and we'll continue to talk about, when that Shohei Ohtani domino falls, you watch how fast things accelerate in free agency. So we're waiting on.
Well, hurry up, Shohei, because we need something to talk about.
The Yankees still appear to be at the top of the class in terms of this Soto. Now, the Padres aren't inclined, and that's the thing that I find that I think AJ has in his back pocket. Although everybody assumes that they have to trade Juan Soto and they have to do it now, I don't think he has to do it until he gets the exact deal he wants. A team like the Yankees, after a season they had last year, they aren't necessarily holding the cards here. Because as that pressure mounts, we've already heard Brian Cashman get real New York on us during this offseason. He was quite snappy in that one press conference he had a few weeks back. Where
we couldn't hear the press conference because he kept swearing.
He was swearing a lot.
That's a perfect way to wipe out a good soundbite. Just swear through the whole thing. Thanks, Brian.
You won't get any airtime.
No.
But, I think that they're a team that when things start to get tight and they don't have their guy, especially a guy who's as dynamic as him, those two guys that they're holding out on, I think those guys eventually get put into the middle of the table at some point.
They're going to have to, because the Padres aren't going to say yes without
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. And there's plenty other offers out there. All right. Let's get to our phone lines. John Morosi, MLB Network, joins us. We had him on, I believe it was last week. He's now, or 2 weeks ago, now he's at the winter meetings. John, I would expect that at some point tonight, tomorrow, your day's going to get a little bit busier than it has been these first two.
Oh, yeah. And Tony and Chris, great to be with you again. I have a theory from having covered a lot of these winter meetings, including one in San Diego a year ago, that Tuesday night into Wednesday morning is when things happen, if they're going to happen. And I have to make sure I'm not going to promise. I'm not going to promise that Ohtani's going to sign tonight, or Yamamoto, or a Soto trade, or anything like that. But I do think that, in my experience, everybody's been here for about 48 hours. People get a little bit restless. The media questions keep coming, and we start wondering when news is going to happen. This is not the first time that we've had a quiet couple days to begin things. And it's my experience that usually Tuesday night into Wednesday morning is when things get interesting. And so I'm fully expecting, my friends, that tonight it's going to get interesting. And what that means, we shall all find out together. As we like to say in Spanish, vamos a ver. We're going to see.
We will see. Yes, indeed. John Morosi for our Spanish listeners. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. Hey, is Shohei Ohtani, should he be out of the mix for the Dodgers now that word has leaked out through Dave Roberts that the Dodgers met with Ohtani? Remember, he said, or the reports are that he said he didn't want any information coming out. So Do we have to hold him to his word here, or is this just wishful thinking by a Padre fan?
I really, can I be honest with you here? I have no idea on this one. And why I say that is I understand that the wish from Shohei's camp was to have discretion and for there to be privacy. I do think that in 2023, if you want to be a global sports icon, one of the most unique people in the world, that if you're traveling around and visiting with people, eventually probably people are going to find out about it. And if you refused to talk with any team that was mentioned in any media report, you'd be pretty lonely. So right. I really, it's again, the wish for privacy, I respect it. It's, he is a person who has his own criteria of what he wants to have happen, and he has earned that right. He really has. But if his desire is for no one to ever talk about what he's doing or where he's going, there are a great many careers that he could do that would afford him that level of anonymity. He's chosen a different one. Okay, he has chosen a different one, and it's amazing. I do find this rather funny, though. If we're really being honest here, it's amazing that through this whole process, the watchword has been anonymity, absolute privacy, total discretion, and then signs the contract. And where's the marketing deal? Where is the marketing deal? And where are we going to make the additional income? I mean, so I find it to be a little curious for me. But again, I'm from a small town in the Midwest, and that's kind of how I tend to look at things. But it was a very interesting a bit of circumstance. And he's going to make a ton of money, and we're all going to be excited. And I don't think at the end of the day, he's going to get up there at the press conference and say, I was going to sign with this team, but then someone acknowledged that they had met with me, and so I totally changed where I want to be for the next 10 years based on one conversation. I do not believe that's the case.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't either, John. But it is funny that out of all I'm sure he's met with a bunch of teams. The Dodgers were the first one to say. Everybody else kept their mouth shut and even reluctant to even say they met with him. I found that to be kind of funny. It's the only time I ever can remember it happening in recent media time.
Right. And obviously at the end, last year, I mean, it was a week ago or a year ago this week that Aaron Judge made that final visit there to Petco Park. And eventually we got to hear about that a little bit. Yeah. May have taken a few hours, but we had heard the Padres were in there and they were in there at the end of the day. And then they made a very strong offer. And so we know that is all a matter of public record. And then several hours later, Peter Seidler pivoted and signed Xander Bogaerts, which is just an extraordinary thing for an owner to do in that moment. So I just think, and again, Aaron Judge wanted there to be discretion within reason, and he got it. Yeah, there were a few moments during the course of the playoff of the off season where his meeting with the Giants became a little bit public, and then the back and forth with the Yankees became known. And you know what? He signed with the team he wanted to sign with, and he showed up on opening day, and there was a massive ovation, and everything was great. And so and I'm sure Shohei is hearing this too. Go where you want to go, okay? Don't make a decision about the next 10 years based on what did or did not get out through the media. This is a public forum. We the people who love baseball, are in a certain way driving his salary by talking about him and buying tickets to go watch him play. So at some point, I'm never going to say that you owe it to the public, but there also needs to be an acknowledgement by stepping back and say, wait a minute, if no one bought a ticket and if no one bought a streaming subscription and if no one watched us on cable TV, there would be no money for anybody. Right. So I think that sometimes in these moments we get caught up a little bit in what this agent or that player or that executive wants to have happen. And I think we kind of forget that the emotions of the fans, to be honest with you, are what keeps this whole enterprise going. And I do think that we've got to remember who's paying really all of our salaries at the end of the day, and that's the fans.
John Morosi joins us here, MLB Network. John, now I'm stuck asking questions about Ohtani because he seems to be holding up everything else that's happening. Considering he just had Tommy John, have you heard like what teams are looking for in terms of the pitching side? Is it going to be incentive based, or are there teams out there that fully expect them to get back on the mound in 2025? How is the pitching element working for Shohei?
That is a great question. And I think that the number one thing I would say is that he clearly wants to keep doing both.
Okay.
Like, it's his desire to do it. I think we got to start there. And does that mean that he's going to be a starting pitcher? Perhaps. Does it mean that he could also come back as a reliever? That's another option. There is probably a decent degree of skepticism, and it's warranted, by the way, that he's going to be able to be a starting pitcher for all of the next 10 years, or even 9 of the next 10 years if you take away 2024 and expect him to come back in 2025. Just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers of pitchers who are still starting 30 games a year every year when they're in their late 30s. Even Max Scherzer, who is fanatical about his routine, the way he takes care of himself, he missed a lot of time this year. Adam Wainwright, at around the age of 40, just couldn't answer the bell anymore from a standpoint of giving consistent quality starts every 5th day. Justin Verlander has missed some time. They all miss time. It's just the reality of the human body. And so I think that day is going to come probably at some point during this contract, Tony and Chris. So I think it's a great question, and it's an important question. The only thing that I can say is that for any of these teams that are involved, you cannot look at Shohei Ohtani as if he's any other player and say, I'm only going to sign him if I get this return on my investment and this number of innings and this number of games played, because he is a brand. Yes, he's a player, but he is a brand. He is a marketing powerhouse. And when you add him, I would say it's almost like adding part player, part new addition to your stadium that people will want to come and watch and enjoy. It's like he's like premium luxury seating unto himself. You know, that's who he is. He's someone that brings the people in. And I would say this: he brings the people in no matter if he's pitching or hitting. He's just him. Being on the field is what brings people in. The question that is almost unanswerable is how it would change his value if at some point he's a reliever. And so if I'm going to buy a ticket to watch this team play, I'm buying a ticket with the expectation that I'm going to see him hit, but then I might see him pitch. But I'm not sure about that part. That's the variable. And I just wonder how the value paradigm shifts to where, you know, in this day and age, you could probably do dynamic pricing. You know, Tuesday's a Shohei day. We're going to increase our ticket prices by 15, 20% because it's a Shohei day or it's a special premium demand game, however you want to describe it. Can you do that? Would fans like it? Probably not. But do they like having Ohtani on the team? Of course they do. So this is where it becomes an economic conversation at some point, and really it's all an economic conversation. And for that reason, the additional language, and honestly, this is where I'm really curious to see this. Is there going to be a gap in time between the signing of the contract and the actual, or between the choosing of the team and the actual pen to paper? Because think about all the different moving parts you can see here. I mean, we're going to be testing the limits of the CBA on this. Do you have some level of profit sharing, of attendance-related clauses? Typically, you can't do that. I don't know. He's so unique. I'm not sure what other things that we could think of that could be part of an agreement that have never been part of any previous agreement. And I think that's where the attorneys involved, the lawyers, the agents, everybody, they've got a lot of work ahead of them, because this is not your standard baseball contract. It's like an entertainment performer contract who pitches and hits all at the same time.
John, we got a couple minutes left. I'm curious, and we'll just use Ohtani as the example, but as one of the great reporters, insiders from MLB floating around the winter meetings, how is this story going to be broken? How are you going to find out about it? How is somebody else going to find out about it? Or is somebody going to be able to keep it silent enough to call a press conference, get everybody gathered and go, All right, here is the team that is signing Shohei Ohtani.
It's a great question. I don't think it's going to be the last one. In terms of it, there being a degree of a cone of silence until it's actually broken. We'd love to have it live on MLB Network. I mean, I put that out there for Shohei's reps, and we could probably book that right now if you want to come and do it live on the air. We'd love it. But it's also possible that is there an elaborate Instagram reveal that's going to happen? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, last year I was really fortunate to be able to report the Aaron Judge news to the Yankees. I only got that because I was in San Diego. I was in your beautiful city, and it was my wife's birthday. And I live in Michigan, so I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning to be able to call her, wish her happy birthday before she went to work at the hospital. And lo and behold, I got a text message with some pretty good information in it, and I was able to break the story. So really, I mean, that was me rolling over at 5 in the morning in my pajamas. So it wasn't anything. There was no like trumpets blaring and a symphony behind me. There was just rolling over, rubbing my eyes, like, what the heck? Oh my gosh! And I just said, I called my wife and said, hey, thank you. You basically did it. So that was how that one broke. And I tend to think that this one will either be the most elaborate scoop and reveal ever, or it's going to be something like that. Probably won't be me, but it will probably be somebody who's fortunate and gets the scoop, and it's going to set the whole meetings on their ear, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, John, as always, man, money when we get you on the air.
I think it will be you, John.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be you.
Let's hope.
We're pulling
I'm going to keep working. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate two great teammates like you guys, and keep me in the loop. Tony and Chris, anytime. Always love catching up with you.
All right, John, take care. Thank you. John Morosi, MLB Network. He's always money. Every time he comes on, he's awesome. We'll see how this breaks. You're right. It's in today's day and age.
Like, you can only make so many phone calls if you're a reporter.
Right.
I mean, you can call Brian Cashman only 1,000 times an hour.
Right.
And you got to be the right guy in the right spot at the right moment with the right connection. And usually John Morosi is one of those guys. Yes. So maybe he'll get it.
We'll all stay tuned. Hour number 1 done. Hour number 2 on deck. Little Daily Gambit coming your way. More
pain for Skraby as well.
Not pain for me. What are you talking about?
No, it was painful. We'll explain. No pain. We'll explain.
No pain, no gain.
I had a rip-roaring first hour of the program today. Hope you didn't tune in late. You missed Jon Morosi from Nashville, MLB Network, updating the latest on the winter meeting. Sam Levitt is due to join us a little later from Nashville. Just in case anything happens between now and then, we'll be here till 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up in this hour, our Daily Gambit, and also Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show is headed your way at the bottom of this hour. The contestants are getting ready right now. It'll be another showdown between Matt Skraby and Tony Gwynn Jr. Speaking of Matt Skraby, before we get to the Daily Gambit, last night some serious pain for Skraby. He had Jamar Chase in his fantasy football game. His opponent had Joe Mixon. Now, two things happened to conspire against Skraby here. One is that Jamar Chase, who had an amazing game receiving, actually threw a pass in this game for -7 yards. So that was subtracted from Skraby's score. And Joe Mixon gained like 4 yards in overtime last night, which put him over the top. And Skraby's opponent won by a half point. Welcome to that world, Skraby.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm still in the playoffs.
Yes, you are still in the playoffs.
You
Very,
know,
very good.
I don't know if you noticed, Chris.
That part is good.
You know, after a stellar start to his season,
Yeah, he's
we haven't heard
slipped a little bit.
whole lot.
Hey, wait,
from
wait,
him
wait,
on the whole fantasy side.
Yeah, because
Other than to complain about my points that I have garnered on my
complained
team.
about your team a lot. Yeah, well,
I haven't heard much about his.
He
though.
started, I believe, 7-1, and he's now 8-5.
Yeah.
hey,
So you
remember when
you're
I said
going into the playoffs on a down.
You're backing
Down
into the
trend.
playoffs.
Oh no, I'm not worried about that at all.
You're backing
I'm not
in.
worried about it.
Well, you are because
I'm not.
you have the best team and you should win going away. But
You
I
do have
don't
the best
actually
team.
have the best team because some of my guys aren't as good as they
you've
were in the
scored the
beginning
most
of the year.
points. You've scored the most points of any team in the league,
Well,
Yeah,
and you're more
best
than
team.
happy to tell us that
stop gaslighting
all
me.
the time.
Stop gaslighting me because I came on here early in the year and I said I am not going to gloat because I know this can change real quick.
I didn't accuse you of gloating. I just said we haven't heard
Oh, I
much.
accused him of gloating the week he said he blew my wife out by 50 points. That was gloating.
No, gloating was when
Heavy gloating.
No, gloating was when I beat
That's right.
Tony by like 75 points.
You
That
did.
was
More
gloating.
You did now. Who are you looking up to in the standings?
Yeah, Tony's in
You.
first place. Yeah, I
Still got
really
1
shouldn't-
week.
I
Still
shouldn't
got
even
1
really
week.
be in the conversation since I've been eliminated from playoff
Yeah, what are you
contention.
doing over there?
I don't know. I'm just paying.
Well, that's first of all, Chris,
I'm trying to enjoy your agony
Yeah,
because
Chris,
that's
that-
all that's left to me.
there is no rule against being out of the play. That actually promotes you to talk more now that your
Oh,
team
no,
is
I've got
pretty
nothing.
much out. Yes, it
I've got
does.
nothing at stake. I can just root for your misery, Skraby.
You
That's
know
all that's
what
left
has
to me.
happened
Sometimes
here
that's the best way to be.
in the
too.
second half of the season, the Jets have gotten worse. So Breece Hall has gotten worse. Lamar Jackson is like a
We
shell
don't need to
of
hear your
himself.
entire roster.
Yeah, we're good.
we don't need to
Jamar
hear your
Chase
entire
doesn't
roster.
even have
Here
a
comes the whole-
quarterback.
Here
Well,
comes
maybe
the
now
whole
he does have a
roster.
quarterback.
Here comes the whole
you
roster.
said he was 7-1 at one point.
Yeah,
So he's 1-4 over the last
Correct.
5 weeks.
yes, correct.
Yeah, I lost some
Yowzers.
close ones.
Including a loss to a non-playoff team, which happened to be me.
Oh, and
I'd throw that in
and
there.
the guy I lost to last night.
Throw that in there. All
It's
right.
okay. I'm
Last
ready to
night's
win
Monday
this
Night
league,
Football
guys.
game was a pretty good one, though, as it turned out.
It did.
Bengals
Battle
beat
of
the
the Cats,
Jags,
baby.
Battle of the Cats clawed its way into overtime before the Bengals prevailed. I want to thank the Bengals for that. That puts the Dolphins in the number 1 seed for the moment.
Yes, it does.
In the AFC playoffs. We'll see if they can hold on to that. Trevor Lawrence was diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. A couple of things on a high ankle sprain. One, that normally means you're out for a while.
3-4
Two,
weeks.
if you're Patrick Mahomes, you come back and win the AFC championship game
also
the
true.
next week on a high ankle sprain. So we'll see just how much pain tolerance Trevor Lawrence has. But
that was ugly.
yeah, it was a bad one last night. Was he even hit? It looked like he'd already kind of twisted the ankle before he got fallen on top of.
No, well,
It was not a good
It
thing.
was the initial leg whip,
Oh, was
accidental
that okay?
leg whip
I
that
got
got
you.
his ankle.
Yeah,
Then he folded, like literally folded,
He
with
did.
his foot underneath.
and then he
him.
was screaming in pain.
Yeah.
You could see that.
I'm
through his
surprised they
face
didn't
mask.
give him a 15-yard penalty for throwing his helmet off on the field. I mean, that's a penalty. You're not allowed to remove your helmet.
I'm a
off the
little
field.
bit more surprised that they didn't give the guy a cart to help him
That's
back
it.
to the locker room.
That's who. He
He's
had to
still
walk like-
walking back
Yes.
to the locker
I
room
think-
as we speak.
I think that was Trevor's his doing because he was He was quite irritated with the whole situation. It's funny you bring that up.
Really?
How the
I was just
NFL
joking.
no, but the NFL is a stickler for these type of things. I don't know if you saw last week, or it might have been this week. My man on special teams gets into a little scrum, and his helmet.
Oh,
He gets basically his helmet gets like dislodged.
Yes,
so his
I
face
saw
mask
this. Yeah.
is like
I did see that.
and so he took his helmet off because his face mask was gone.
So
It was
wasn't working.
stuck to another guy's face mask.
Exactly. And then they gave him a 15-yard penalty
did.
for not having his helmet on.
They
No,
did.
Yes,
they
they
did.
They
Yes.
did, yeah.
That I didn't see that part.
And
of
he
it.
ran over and he's like,
It's
my
my-
helmet broke.
They gave him a 15-yard penalty. So I was actually surprised when he snapped his helmet off and threw it that he didn't get a 15-yard
Could have
penalty.
hurt
No.
someone with that.
NFL
helmet,
missed
though.
an opportunity. How about calling pass interference when it's pass interference
They
once
don't,
in a while?
They don't do that anymore.
They seem to miss those. But anyway, good game last night. And that leads us into a bunch of the results that we had, winners and losers, in today's Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in the Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. I would like to say, first and foremost, we had a survivor pool that we started at the beginning of the year for the NFL season, and it went all the way until last night. We have a survivor pool winner. The bracket is called Lawrence's Legit. If you are out there, Lawrence, you could tweet me at Matt Skraby or something to try to contact me. But you were the last person standing. There was 2 people left last night. Lawrence had a team that won, obviously, and the other team was the Jaguars. So the person that was playing
Somebody picked the
against Lawrence.
Jaguars, and
Yeah,
when
they
they
lost.
lost, that left
That
it
was
for
it.
Lawrence.
So good job,
for him.
Lawrence.
Shout
By
out
the
to
way, I
Lawrence.
spoke with Ben Higgins the other night. Remember Ben?
Oh, yeah.
Ben checked out of the pool last week, did not make his pick. He blames you for this.
See, I knew it. I
Yeah.
knew it.
Said
He didn't get a reminder?
No, it wasn't the reminder. He said that he said he thought he put his pick in, but the way things were set up, it seemed to tell him he made his pick, but as he found
Oh, it
out
was my
later,
fault.
he never made his pick. Yeah, it was because the way you set up the whole thing at the
It's your
beginning.
fault, man.
It was the same every week. The deadline was 10 a.m. Sunday morning.
Well, whatever happened, he thought he made his pick and it didn't register, but he also added that his pick in that week was the Vikings and they lost.
Oh, all right.
So it didn't matter one way or another.
You know, Ben's
for
always
Ben.
the guy of honesty.
Ben
and I
is an honest
appreciate
guy.
that.
Except blaming you for it, though.
Yeah, you didn't like that
Well,
part of it.
He just fell into what everybody else does.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
was a fun survivor pool, though. We had a good time. Most of us had a good time. Stayed alive for a while. Most
Yeah.
of us except
Yeah,
Tony.
most of us, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tony
yes.
was out
Tony,
early.
let's road.
What was it?
Let's ride. And
I
We
went
rode
to-
off into the sunset.
I was too early on the ride train.
Well, yeah,
You rode off.
it did start at one point, but it didn't actually get going until after you picked them.
Yeah.
All right, last night my parlay for the Monday Night Football game, plus 650. Jaguars to reach 10 points first. That happened. Evan Ingram, touchdown score. That happened. Joe Mixon, rushing plus receiving under 69.5 yards. That
Yeah.
did not happen.
No, that didn't
You
come
were
close to
positive
happening.
that was going to happen, too.
I was.
He
And
was hopeful.
No,
He was,
once,
he was
once I
hopeful,
saw
I
the
will say
first play was like a 6-yard gain. I was like, oh no, it's over. It's
6-yard
over.
gain you gave up right then?
On the first play, if you get a 6-yard gain on the first round of the game, I feel like you can kind of tell what's going to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of like when Josh Hader was a closer. If Josh Hader came out first pitch ball, you knew it was going to be a tough
well, that's
inning.
ridiculous because he
That's not
saved every
ridiculous.
single game he appeared in last year, except for maybe one.
I might go
And
through
I know he
and-
didn't throw a strike the first pitch every
Tony,
time.
can you tell? I'm not going to have you co-sign that he was going to have a tough inning, but you could tell from early on that Josh Hader didn't have the feel.
You could, I mean, he might not have to feel when he first came in, but that wasn't
He
indicative
normally
of
got the
anything,
job
though.
done.
Yeah, because he ended up usually getting outs.
Okay.
Literally all, but I think he had 2 blown saves all season.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's move on.
Get to the Daily Gambit. You're the one that always is trying to
I'm
hurry
going.
things along.
311. Here
The
we go.
Bengals and the Jaguars over under 40.5 total points in the game. You guys went under. I went over. It was 65 points. So I win that one. Jake Browning over under 220.5 passing yards. You guys went under. I went over 354 yards is what he passed for last night. Purdue minus 13.5 in college basketball over Iowa. We all chose Purdue. Purdue won by 19 points, 87-68. Then you got Boston, Indiana, 246 total points. You guys went over. I went under. It was under 234. If you don't realize that there's a streak of me being right here, it's about to end, though. Kings minus 3.5 last night against the Pelicans. Tony chose the Pelicans. Chris and I chose the Kings. Pelicans win 127-117.
Yeah, the excitement of the NBA in-season tournament continues tonight, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
The Pelicans and the Pacers both advancing to the semifinals.
I don't know if you saw that Boston Indiana game though.
They look like they
it
cared.
was going nuts.
Yeah, you know what? For $500,000, I care too.
Hey,
Well, you've been saying the whole
you said
time that
no
this
one
is
cares.
the biggest dumb waste of
It
time.
is.
It's not.
You
Well,
should
it was
not
for
have to pay-
500. It was for $500,000 the whole time. So
You
why
should-
all of
you
a sudden
should
does
not
that matter?
Have to pay a professional athlete to play their sport because they need to play harder. You shouldn't. They already get paid. Why do they need more money?
Are you entertained? Or you're not. A lot of other people are.
I just don't understand why you need to pay athletes to play the
The-
sport
the-
that they're paid to play
Here-
already.
Here's the kicker. The real thing is that they actually have this money to give to them. So if they have it, you know how much more they have?
Yeah.
They're just randomly like, you know what? We'll give you $500,000 each if you play.
Basketball teams are small, though.
That's
They
$6 million right there.
right there.
That's a
12
drop.
players.
That's a drop in the hat for the NBA.
Well, that's why they're doing it.
Anyway,
The
God, we got to
tournament-
move on with this Daily Gambit, Chris.
Well, let's go. Here we go for tonight. San Diego State Aztecs basketball team travel to Phoenix to take on Grand Canyon. Sounds like a gimme. It's not. Grand Canyon is 6-1.
Yeah.
They have a tremendous home court advantage.
They're no
The
longer
odds-
coached by Dan Marley, though, right?
No, but they're still very good. The Aztecs, the odds makers know, are going to be in for it. And as a result, San Diego State is only a 2.5-point favorite tonight. I'll start, and I'll obviously take the Aztecs, but I got to tell you, I am very concerned about this game this evening. The Aztecs better play a little better than they did Friday night against UCSD. Tony, how about you?
Aztec for life.
Aztec for
No
life.
concern over
Skraby,
here.
are you a Grand Canyon for life here, or
GCU, baby.
Absolutely not.
you're taking the Aztecs?
I'm going to take the
You
Aztecs.
never take the Aztecs.
No, because they lost a close one the other night, so I feel like they're going to
bring it tonight.
Yeah.
All right, also college basketball tonight, Big Ten game. Michigan State home to Wisconsin. 5.5-point favorite are the Spartans. Wisconsin's coming off an upset win over Marquette. Michigan State hasn't been very good yet this season. Tony, what do you think? 5.5 points for Izzo's team.
Wisconsin covers.
You're taking Wisconsin plus the 5. Skraby,
I can never choose Michigan State ever again, so I'm doing
you don't like
Why,
them.
why is that?
just because of all the controversy that's been going on lately.
Oh, with their football coach?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
Izzo
this?
got to do with that?
I don't know. Just associate
I
them
don't know.
together.
Yeah. Well, this is why you never hit a parlay, because this is your thinking. I'll take Wisconsin also, coming off the big win over Marquette. Bucks and Knicks tonight in the NBA tournament. Winner moves to the semifinals. Bucks are favored by only 5 over the Knickerbockers, Skraby.
Bucks are favored by only 5.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a lot. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to go Bucks.
I'm going to take the Bucks minus 5. I'll take the Knicks. I mean, these games have been very hotly contested. Tony?
Bucks, baby.
Bucks for you.
Baby.
And then the Lakers play Phoenix tonight in the other in-season tournament game. Lakers are favored, but we're not betting the spread. We're betting the over-under points, 229.5 for this game. I went over last night thinking that was an easy win, and it didn't happen. I'll try it again. I'll say over. Tony? 229.5.
Huh. Can you go to Skraby first?
Sure. Skraby.
Under.
Under. Okay.
Skraby, you gave me no time. Do we know who was playing for.
Why would
Phoenix.
everybody not? Everybody's got to be playing right now.
I think
it's
Beal's
the tournament.
out still.
Oh, Beal's been out. He'll be out for a long time. Yeah, he's out for a while. He's not a game time decision.
All right, game time decision. Gordon, game time. Who's out? Gabe Vincent's out. Game time decision. Davis, James. I'm assuming they're playing. I will take the under.
You'll take under. All right, so I'm alone on that one. And then LeBron James, 25.5 points. Tony. Over or under? We know he'll be over 10.
He's going to be over.
Done that for.
He's going to be over
16 straight.
They're
years.
going to need an over type performance from him.
Yeah, I'll say under just for fun, but LeBron is
For
almost
giggles?
guaranteed to get over 25.5. It seems. Skraby, what do you want? You don't like LeBron, so you'll say under.
I'm going to go over.
And everybody out there says you got to be nicer to him.
What's wrong
You
with
just
that?
have to be nicer to that guy.
You literally only picked that
He's
because
such a tremendous guy. You have to be nicer to him. And I ask you, why?
We need to get a break.
Sam
right.
Levitt joins us from Nashville when we come back. More on baseball's winter meetings, a Padre update from our pre- and post-game show host After Traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Good afternoon. Got a problem on southbound 805 El Cajon Boulevard. 2 or 3 left lanes are blocked.
to him in terms of
Hopefully
finding
got something to eat.
Finding a midnight snack last night hopefully was a little bit easier. Clearly, Sam, no news to report yet. Things are still bubbling, if you will.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there really has not been much news at all. I was just talking to Skraby before I came on, before he put me on, and was telling Skraby there's plenty of people here, and there's plenty of people to talk to, and people walking around, and managers and general managers and all the broadcasters and everybody, but there's not been a whole lot of action so far, and it does sort of feel like everything is waiting for Shohei Ohtani. I mean, that's the big talk this afternoon. I don't know if you guys talked about what Dave Roberts had to say earlier today, and him admitting that they had met with Ohtani, which was very, very interesting. But in a larger sense, there has not been much to discuss transaction-wise, and we'll see if that changes here tonight and obviously into tomorrow as well.
Sam Levitt in Nashville. You had a nice conversation with Mike Shildt today. I saw it posted online on Twitter, and I've directed our listeners to watch that interview. What'd you think of Mike Shildt and your visit with him today, Sam? Give us a little recap from your perspective.
Yeah, I thought Mike Shildt did a really good job today, both during the press conference and with me after his press conference here in Nashville. The more I hear from him, quite honestly, the more I really like Mike Shildt and what he has the potential to do with his team. And as far as my one-on-one with him, I asked about the coaching staff and what he could share with us. And, Mike didn't want to say too much, which is understandable. And he did say that they're, fairly early in the process, and until things are finalized, he doesn't want to say much on it, which I understand. But I did ask him what he values characteristic-wise in a staff. And, Mike Shildt, talked about, expertise and positivity and energy and consistency, all things that I think you can really see very clearly in Mike Shildt and, and the type of manager he's going to be. So, the other thing that stood out from what he said today, beyond learning that he had offered the bench coach position to Ryan Flaherty, before Ryan Flaherty ended up leaving, and he was already kind of down the road with some other opportunities. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is he really gave a lot of detail about, his process of meeting with different players and still on the schedule to meet with a number of different guys. I mean, he was talking about having dinner with Joe Musgrove, Manny Machado, Luis Campusano, has plans to see Jake Cronenworth, has plans to see Juan Soto, has plans to see Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts down in Aruba. He's going to be doing traveling. And I think it's very clear that he really puts a value on talking to these guys, having a relationship with these guys, listening to what they say, partnering with them. And that is really important to Mike Shildt. I think that's really, really clear. And again, the more you hear from him, the more it's clear to me that he's a real team guy. And, I think he said at some point during, his press conference at Petco Park or here today, he's referenced himself. I think the term was organizational guy. And you get that sense. He's about the team. And I don't say that, just as hyperbole, but it really feels like that from everything we're learning about Mike Shildt as this offseason progresses.
Well, one of the things that seems to line up perfectly with is exactly what Xavier Scruggs said to us, is that he is that team guy. He's very in tune with the individuals, not necessarily as baseball players, but as people. And that's seemingly what you're kind of seeing as well. Let's move to this roster a little bit. And obviously there are a number of things to be addressed. And often when we get into this time of year, we're thinking free agency. But for the Padres and kind of the question marks in terms of what the payroll will be, they'll probably have to address some of this via trade. Is that the route you think, in terms, especially the pitching, that you think that they'll go in order to kind of fill those spots, unless, as you mentioned yesterday, they're going for, kind of that Michael Wacha range of pitcher in the free agency round?
Well, look, I think as far as pitching, I think it's probably, even in the case that they do trade Juan Soto, to me, it's going to be a mixture of both, right? Because let's just live in a hypothetical world that they get somebody that's major league ready from the Yankees, like a Michael King, in exchange for Juan Soto. Well, that's somebody who could hypothetically be inserted right into your rotation, but at the same time, with whatever money you free up, I mean, it's a good amount of money, the $30+ million. It doesn't mean that you can add a 20-something million per year starting pitcher. So I think it's going to be a mix of, in the case they do trade Juan, getting whatever they get back. If that is somebody who's ready to contribute right now in a rotation, then I'm sure he'll be given that opportunity. But also finding those, buy low and hopefully you get a really good season out of them guys. It was interesting today when AJ Preller spoke, because he was asked about, if he's compelled to remove a lot of money from the payroll. And, AJ talked about the process being pretty similar to what the Padres have done in the past. They set a target payroll number, then have the ability to go back to ownership and talk about different scenarios. He was asked if there's a mandate to reduce payroll. And he said, I think the mandate and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think the mandate for the organization is having a team that will play in October. So look, no surprise that AJ didn't, really want to say too much on the payroll situation. But again, today, for a second consecutive day here in Nashville, he did not, say anything to the effect of this team is definitely trading Juan Soto. It seems like they're evaluating the options. They're taking the phone calls. They're seeing what deals look like. But, obviously it's still a work in progress right now. So I think everything from the Soto situation and beyond is very much, to me, it seems a fluid situation.
Well, Sam, good luck finding something to eat tonight. That's all that really matters to me. I mean, I know you're going to be on top of whatever stories break over here, but we got to make sure you're fed in the Opry land.
I ate pretty late last night because I did go to Broadway in Nashville, downtown Nashville last night. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to Broadway, but
I have.
And I've been before. It's an experience I think everybody should have. I did go to a couple of, honky tonk bars and there were,
I can see you there.
By the way, I don't want to make it like I was going crazy or anything, but hey, you're in Nashville, you got to go, right? So, the live music on each floor. And at one point there was a woman singing on top of the bar with the band playing on the other side of the room. It was, I will say this about Broadway in Nashville. It is worth seeing.
They know how to turn up.
Had some pizza too, but guess what? I was here early this morning and back to work. So I want everybody to be assured I am doing all the work parts necessary.
Of course you are.
But it is fun there on Broadway. It is worth experiencing once because the live music element and the different floors of it really is something to see. So
yeah. Well, Sam, good luck with the food tonight. Good luck breaking whatever first Padres story comes out. Hopefully, for your sake, it's tonight. You won't have 2 nights of no news. But if you have no news, you can always go on back out to Broadway one more time, man. It's all good.
Honky tonks are calling your name, Sam.
Thanks for the time, Sam.
Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, I make it out there. We'll see. All right, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sam Levitt out at the winter meetings in Nashville. Although no news, that hasn't stopped Sam from having a good time.
No, that's right. That's right. That's what Sam's about.
Let's get to break. When we return, Chris's Fantabulous game show, Mr. Skraby gets a chance to double up on the
shadow
wins.
Boxing right now.
Don't know that he's ever doubled up on wins in this game.
Only once before in like 2020.
We'll find out if he can do it again. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Previously on the John Kentero
All right, welcome back to the program. 3:39 is the time. It's game show time, guys. Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show is coming up here shortly. But we want to remind you that what do you want me to read?
No, that's Tony put on his sunglasses for game time.
Oh, he's getting his
He's
game
getting his
face on.
What is he, T.O. over there? Look at him. He looks like he is.
He does look a little T.O.-like right now.
You need to read Belmont Park, but I can read it.
I don't see it.
It's
really
right
don't.
under Chris's Fantabulous, but here we go. This hour is brought to you by the Belmont Park's Winter Wonder. It's time for Winter Wonder at Belmont Park. Music every Saturday, 1 to 4. Carolers every Sunday, 1 to 4. Every Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 7, Buddy the Elf will be twisting balloons. Or see Winter Fairy and Poinsettia Princesses. Join us now at Belmont Park's Winter Wonder. Chris and I were there on Saturday night. I got to say.
But you guys went together?
We went to the Christmas or the holiday party for Odyssey. And it was at Belmont Park. I gotta say, it was done up for Christmas, and it kind of got me in the Christmas feel. When I was leaving, I heard those, Christmas carols or whatever, and I was like,
I heard those Christmas carols or whatever you call them.
And there was like a snowman, and I was like, "This is all right.
It's
I can
December,
get into
bro.
this."
Come on, man.
What about you,
Get
Chris?
into the spirit.
I had a good time. But I can't talk with a straight face to Stevie Wonder over there. He's kind of waving his head back and forth, the way Stevie used to do.
He is.
All right. Here we go with the check of traffic, and let's get into today's Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show. Get ready.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Belmont Park's Winter Wonder. Turning out to be a busy afternoon. Accident has been cleared into the center divide southbound 805 near El Cajon Boulevard, but now in the South Bay, South 805, just before Bonita. 2-vehicle accident in the center divide. Several things going on in the North County. On the eastbound 78 before Broadway, there's a collision blocking the left lane. Also northbound 15 at Rainbow Valley, an accident. Not showing if lanes are blocked. And in Fallbrook, intersection of North Main and East Alvarado, get some traffic control and closures in place, all due to a vehicle that struck pedestrian. Miracle, the whimsical global holiday pop-up, is at Draft. Over 1 million lights guide you through Belmont Park to the Christmas-themed cocktail pop-up. Miracle at Draft will feature exclusive original cocktails and over-the-top decorations. Join us at Draft to indulge this season. Full menu at draft.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, all you beautiful people out there, it's time to play one of our favorite games of the week.
All right.
We like to call it
Ooh, I'm going to go.
Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show.
It starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Yes, it does. Matt Skraby is the defending champion. That is a rarity. And as Tony mentioned going into our last break, the last time Skraby won back-to-back Fantabulous Sports Game Show, it's been quite some time. So we'll see if he can pull that off today. We will give you the category here shortly. You are welcome to play along out there, see how well and knowledgeable you are on today's category. There are 19 correct answers today, guys. And the category is NFL coaching victories. NFL coaching victories. Now, this sounds like it could be a tough category. You have to name great NFL coaches, but I can help you a little bit. There are 5 active coaches on the all-time list here, and there are 12 of the 19 have won Super Bowls. So it's not like a list of a bunch of no-names. You should be have a fighting chance here. But I do think it's, a little bit on the more difficult side as far as some of our categories are concerned. But you are going to try to name the 19 NFL coaches who have 160 or more career victories. 160 or more career victories. As I said, 5 guys are active. 12 of the 19 have won a Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of all 19 coaches. Might be one guy that you're unfamiliar with. So that's the backdrop. Now, what will happen is the guys will take turns naming off correct answers. And if you get one wrong, you get a strike. 3 strikes and you're out. But if anybody gets to 10 correct answers, they will win the game. Tony is the defender, is not the champ, so you gets to decide whether he wants to go first or not.
He's just so
today.
used to saying it.
Yeah. Tony, what do you want to do?
I'll go first.
He'll go first, and away we go here. Top, and this is regular season wins only, although I don't think it changes a whole lot if you include playoffs. All right, go ahead, Tony. Who do you have to start us off here?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick, number
the
3
easiest one.
right now on the all-time list with 300 career regular season wins. He's got 331 if you include his playoffs. But that is correct. Tony Gwynn Jr. On the board. All right, so you kind of get what we're doing here. Name a coach, Skraby.
Don Shula.
Don Shula on top of the list.
Number 1.
Still 347 overall, 328 in the regular season for Shula. Belichick should pass him at this pace in about 9 years. He's only getting 2 wins a year. It's going to take him a while. All right, Tony 1, Skraby 1, and Tony, your turn.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid, number 4 on the list. Andy's way up there. Until I looked at this, I didn't realize he was that high. 255 career wins.
Didn't he coach for like 20 years in Philadelphia?
He was there for quite some time. By the way, both Belichick and Reid qualify in the category as active coaches and coaches who have won a Super Bowl. Shula won a Super Bowl. So those have been eliminated. And Skraby, you're down 2-1. Who is a coach with 160 or more NFL victories?
Josh McDaniels did pop into mind.
Should have popped right out.
Just kidding.
He should have popped right out.
I'm going to say Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll. He is on the list.
He has to be on the
He
list.
is. He is 17th on the list with 167 career
that
victories.
Puts a lot in perspective for me.
Yes, he snuck in there, but he is active and also a Super Bowl winning coach. So it is 2-2. There are 2 active coaches left, and there are 8 Super Bowl winning coaches left, and a total of 15. Tony Gwynn Jr.
The model of consistency lives in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's on the list. Mike Tomlin with 170 career victories, just ahead of Pete Carroll, and also a Super Bowl winning coach. So you guys are naming all the active guys, which is quite okay. But eventually you'll run out of those. There's some
strategy in this.
I see what you're doing. There's 1 active coach left, and there's still 7 Super Bowl winning coaches.
That changes a lot of my list.
1 active coach left. You got to have 160 or more career wins to make this list. Tony leads 3-2. You can play along out there, see how many of the 19 you can come up with. And Skraby, it's your turn.
Wow, that just changed
Why did
everything.
that change everything? Because you had a bunch
I thought
of
there was
active
3
coaches
more
listed?
active coaches on the list.
Ah, I see where you're going. Right?
How about Bill Walsh?
Bill Walsh.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is not a good one. He's not on the list. So
You mean one of the
that
greatest
is a
coaches of
start.
all time is not on the list?
Sorry.
He's not on the
Short shelf life.
list of NFL coaching leaders. Not at 160 regular season wins. Bill Walsh, although that was a very 49er type guess, it was not a correct one.
I think everyone would have guessed the Hall of Fame coach would be up there, but okay.
I think you're wrong.
I think you're wrong too, because Walsh is not there. I'm trying to Bill Walsh with actually only 92 career regular season wins.
It's okay,
So
Bill.
It's
You
quite
did
a
it
ways
for
down
us.
the street.
4 Super Bowls.
All right, thank you very much. Are you going to guess George Seifert next?
No, because I know he didn't win.
That's his
100.
next.
No,
That's his next guess.
I'm not going to guess Jim Harbaugh either. Chip Kelly maybe, but not Jim Harbaugh.
All right. So Tony now leads 3-2.
Wow.
And Skraby has a strike, so it's a big advantage for Tony right now.
That
You're
one
up, Tony.
active coach really bothers me.
Yeah, and I think you're going to be mad that I know this one.
You're going to name him.
Yeah.
And take him off the
I
board.
believe Mike McCarthy has enough.
I have him on my
He's been
list.
coaching a long time.
Yeah, he has.
Mike
And he's-
McCarthy sneaks in with 164.
Why didn't I just say Mike
victories.
McCarthy?
That is correct.
And now
He's
Skrabe,
18th on the list.
you got to dig into your history of the NFL here, buddy.
Little NFL history, Skraby. I will tell you, these are very well-named, known
Yes.
coaches that are still out there, but no active coaches are left.
Scratch
Tony
those
leads
guys off.
4-2, If you're wondering about Sean Payton, he's too
I
short.
was wondering.
John Harbaugh is 4 short.
Okay.
Both of those guys are very close.
Check
but
back
not
in 4
quite
weeks.
There. Yeah,
Might
right.
be able to
Tony.
get
We
John.
do this game in a
Tony's
month.
feeling really good right now.
Tony's feeling very good, but Skraby is the defending champion.
is.
Come on,
He
defend
is.
your title,
He
Skrabe.
is.
Come up big.
He is.
Remember, these are Super Bowl winning coaches, many of them. So they're, you can try that strategy potentially. There are 7 Super Bowl winning coaches left.
How about
Skraby needs this.
Tom
one.
Landry?
Oh, you
Tom
took my
Landry.
next
Had a
one,
boy,
you
Skrabe.
Son of a
That a
you know
boy.
what.
250. Tom Landry's way up there. He's 5th on the all-time list. So a good one by you, Skraby, the former great coach of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so Tony's lead is cut to 4-3. Still remaining on the list, number 2, number 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, and on down. So most of the top 10 are still left.
Let's go with my favorite Charger head coach, Marty Schottenheimer.
Is he seriously your favorite coach, or are you just saying that?
No, he
for
was
the,
he was my favorite Charger head coach. Yeah.
All right. He wasn't mine. Bobby Ross was my favorite.
I also didn't have to like.
Well, Marty
I wasn't
wasn't
covering
bad
him.
to deal with. I just never thought he was a great coach. I know he did pile up 200 victories. He's on the list, but I just think he lacked for some reason when it came to postseason. Just did not make good decisions.
Although
All right.
I don't know that his stint in in his playoff stint in San Diego was that bad. They had some bonehead.
They had
plays.
some bad luck.
Yeah, they had some bad luck.
but they had some bad decisions.
Did they?
Along,
I can't remember any
yes.
of the bad decisions.
You go back to a few of those Jet games, and he seemed to play a little bit more close to the vest when he had a better team, and he could have just gone out and dominated the game. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, sorry, Scrape, go
5-3.
ahead. You got
Tony,
one, Scrape?
Scraby gave you a little extra time. Who do you have, Scrape?
Not Kyle, but Mike Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan. Really?
Not
That
on the
would
list.
stink if he's not on there.
He has to be.
170. He's
Okay.
tied with Mike Tomlin.
All right. Wow.
So that was correct, Scraby. Very good. Scraby staying alive by the skin of his chinny chin. Mike Shanahan coached 20 years. He was a coach of the Raiders when I covered the team back in the day for the Pasadena Star News. All right, 5-4. Tony's leading, and Scraby has a strike. It's going to get a little tougher. There's only 10 correct answers left.
This guy is in the same era as Marty. Dan Reeves.
Dan Reeves. Wow,
Whoa.
nice pull. I don't think I would have got him.
No,
but
me
that's
neither.
correct. 190 wins for
See,
Dan Reeves.
there is zero chance Tony knows that without looking.
Why would I not know that?
'Cause
I watch football, bro.
He hasn't been on the TV for like 20
Neither
years.
is Martin Schottenheimer. Or Tom
I will
Landry,
give you
who you named,
Schottenheimer.
by the
I'll give
How
you-
do you know Tom
Because he
Landry?
wore that little hat.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That is a kind of a gift.
Dan Reeves wore a tie, if that means anything. He always looks sharp out there.
It doesn't. Okay.
Dan
All right.
Reeves, 190 career victories, leaving
Ooh,
him.
I just came up with another one.
Dan Reeves is 10th. So
I'm gonna guess someone that I don't know.
you still got number 2, 6, 8, and 9.
I'm gonna
if you
guess
wonder.
someone that I'm not sure of, but their name is synonymous with greatness. Well, not synonymous, but anyway, Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan. That was a hell of a guess,
And
Greg.
it's not right.
Yeah, I'm looking way down the list.
Okay.
Buddy didn't even coach very long.
I didn't know. I
think Rex Ryan is ahead of Buddy Ryan.
I thought. Well, everybody talks about his dad like he's the greatest coach of all time. So
No, Buddy was a defensive coordinator, only an NFL head coach for 7 years. He won 55 games. Rex Ryan won 82. So
All right,
Rex
well,
is ahead of Buddy.
that was a dumb guess.
That's all right. This is a tough category.
Is it?
Well,
We
it
got
is for
Dan
Scrape.
Reeves over there.
Tony with a 6-4 lead, actually taking a lot of the drama out of today's festivities.
How
Your
about-
turn, Tony.
How about the big tuna?
Oh,
Bill Parcells.
man, that's a great one.
Is it? Should I not know his name?
No, you
either?
should definitely know
Okay.
his name.
All right.
Should know his name. That is correct. 172 wins
a
for the
great one.
tuna.
That's a great one.
Tony's rolling here with a 7-4 lead. Last Fantabulous game show was actually a Fantabulous contest. Fortunately, not happening today. Scraby, you need to really rally. from the depths here. Number 2 is available, and I know you know this. He's like one of the most famous coaches in NFL history.
I know he has a trophy named after him, but I'm not sure how long he coached for.
Oh, well, he may not be number 2 either.
I'll say Vince Lombardi.
You're going to say Vince Lombardi?
I can go down with Vince Lombardi.
Yeah, you can go down with your boots on. Vince Lombardi is not on the list.
I knew it.
Yeah, Vince didn't.
How do you get a Super Bowl trophy named after you if you're not even one of the best ever?
You win the first 2 Super Bowls. That's how you get that.
All right.
So,
wow.
I can't believe Lombardi's not on here either, considering how wonderful he was. But that is incorrect. Skraby, you've struck out. This game is over. It was not as dramatic as some of our other ones have been, but victory belongs to Tony Gwynn Jr. 7-4.
Stop waving goodbye to me. You're not Deebo Samuel.
Vince Lombardi won 96 games. That's it. In 10 years. That's why Vince isn't on the list. He only coached 10 years.
Was Bill Cowher on the list?
Bill Cowher was not quite on the list either. You had to be around for a long time. All right. So how many of these guys have you heard of?
Paul Brown?
Paul Brown is correct.
That's a good one.
I'll start with number 2, though. You guys never said George Hallis.
I didn't know who George Hallis.
You don't know George? Papa Bear? Papa Bear, he invented the game, basically, back in the day with the Bears. And the most famous Packer coach, the field is named after him, Curly Lambeau. Those are the 2 at the top you didn't name, but I didn't think you'd get Curly Lambeau. Paul Brown is correct. Some of the others, Chuck Knox, who coached the Rams and Seahawks. Jeff Fisher, who I know you guys know. He was around for long enough to get on this list. Tom Coughlin, also on this list.
Thought about him.
Tom Coughlin coached, he was like 87.
With 170.
I think he's still alive.
And the only other coach you didn't name is another one you've heard of, Mike Holmgren.
He was the coach before McCarthy, right? Oh, no, there was another coach in between McCarthy.
For the Packers?
Yeah.
Yeah. But those are your guys. It was a tough one today. Kind of did it on short notice. Sorry for Skraby.
Give me my belt back.
That's a good. Here you go.
The belt is back
here.
The belt is honestly back where it belongs, I must say.
Yes, I got it.
And we got.
Hey, you're the host. You should not have any side that you want to win. We gotta get the break.
Chris vs. the Fans is coming up 833-288-0973 to play trivia. Every time you say what happened, I feel like I'm finishing. I ate my crackers a long time ago.
Yeah, it wasn't your crackers. It sounded like a hurt whale or something. I heard.
Oh, that was Skraby then.
In the back of my.
That had to be Skraby.
Wow. A hurt whale and then
like
me.
Sound like an orca. Like I don't know what happened there. Nonetheless, we will be getting to that Chris versus the fan real quick. Major League Baseball earlier today announced the Hall of Fame is going to honor the Negro Leagues East and West All-Star Game in May. I have been fortunate enough.
This is a pretty nice honor, I must say,
to be invited, and part of the festivities is.
Skraby, did you get your invite?
I did not.
I did not either.
Yeah, on this one, it's a short 3 days. I will have to miss the Yankee series here, but I am honored to be a part of what is going to be
What are the festivities consist of? Do you know? You're going back to Cooperstown for this?
They're opening up a new wing.
And apparently Skraby doesn't think you can handle Cooperstown on your own, so he's asking to tag along.
I just always want to tag along.
He put his request in pretty quickly.
Is that on your way to Korea for the
it's a little bit out of the way, I think. I think I'm gonna have to go, a couple trips here coming up.
But no, they'll be unveiling a new wing that's dedicated to the Negro Leagues. I'm not sure what this game is consist of. If it's going to be like a softball, I'm certainly hoping so. Versus,
you don't want to
play hardball.
I don't want to play any more hardball. I retired from that game, but it's a pretty cool. It's not a pretty cool. It's a really cool honor.
Oh, it's amazing, man! I'm excited just to know you,
to be a part of it. I have the teams here. Ken Griffey Jr. and Ozzie Smith will be I guess the managers of the two teams.
That's awesome.
Do you know either of these guys?
I know both of these guys.
Wow.
Very well.
So like you can walk up and they'll go, Tony, what's up? I'm putting you 7th in the lineup today.
Yes.
Be like, I only hit 3rd.
Yeah. I
pull a Juan Soto on him, Tony.
I knew that
I text Ken every year on his birthday. Text him happy birthday.
Oh, man,
I see Ozzie at the Hall of Fame. I've known him a long time. But on our side, we got CC Sabathia as the captain, Josh Barfield, former Padre, Tim Beckham, Ian Desmond, Prince Fielder, Dexter Fowler, Curtis Granderson, myself, the Hairston brothers, Jerry and Scott, and LaTroy Hawkins. On the other side, it'll be Ozzie as the manager, Chris Young, MLB's Chris Young, not GM Chris Young.
Yeah, Chris Young, the outfielder.
Ryan Howard, Edwin Jackson, Jeremy Jeffries, Adam Jones, Russell Martin, David Price, Tony Sipp, BJ, and Justin Upton, and Dontrell Willis.
Man, that's awesome. I think you guys never mind a softball game. Play do like a celebrity Olympics. I think you should have a flag football game. I think you should have a full court basketball game, which you would star in. By the way,
I like my chances in those events. There,
play those.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I would share that. That's going to
awesome.
happen.
When is that going to be?
It's the weekend of May 24th through the 26th.
You're gonna miss my birthday.
Skraby and I are very hopeful since I'm not going to tag along, and I don't know that Skraby truly will. But I'm hoping the MLB Network will show the festivities. I want to see you on TV.
I do too.
Swinging for the fences.
I can see them doing something like that.
Yeah, they might put something
I mean,
that
they got
on.
a ton of star power on the field. People will watch that.
Man, that really is a good list of guys.
Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. I'm happy Major League Baseball is really diving into it. Hall of Fame certainly is a huge part of it. Obviously, they're the one putting it on. So, and this is coming at a time where they're trying to integrate those Negro League numbers into the record book. So it kind of gives a little more kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Legitimacy,
but it gives it some context, when you get a chance to see as you try to kind of revitalize that Negro League game, East and West, you get learn a little about the history.
I think you should get to choose what Negro League uniform you want to wear during your softball game.
That would be sweet.
And I think you should be the Atlanta Black Crackers, because that's one of my favorite names of all time.
You should have just seen my
sport.
face. You should have just seen my face.
That's their name.
I know.
It's a great name.
It's just something that is not allowed to even be mentioned these days.
Never mind.
Let's play some Chris versus the fan.
You don't like that name, huh, Scrap?
It shocked me. That's what it did.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the Fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we got to plan for a prize, as always. Today's prize, grand prize, you can qualify for it. 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas, dinner at Edge Steakhouse, and 2 tickets to see Barry Manilow at Westgate Las Vegas. Barry, unforgettable at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort Casino and International Theater. Show-stopping performances. Copacabana, Mandy, Can't Smile Without You. One of these days, you guys will get me to sing all 3 of those songs.
Waiting for it.
Yeah. All while experiencing a night of illustrious showmanship. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com to see Barry Manilow at Westgate, Las Vegas. Chris versus the Fans brought to you by Tarpey Plumbing, Heating, and Air for the best HVAC and plumbing services in San Diego and the surrounding areas. It is Tarpey. Call them today. Skraby, the rules.
You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question is going to get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you are eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question, or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before we get into it. You get that first question for free.
And I have one addendum to the Fantabulous Sports Game Show. I listed all the coaches with 160 or more wins. I left out former Pittsburgh Steeler great coach Chuck Noll. So I apologize to the Chuck Noll fans out there.
The Chuck Noll fans.
Well, there's probably some Steeler fans that were screaming at the radio. What about Chuck Noll?
They actually are.
Yeah, see? There you go.
See? All right. First contestant is Christian.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi, Christian.
What's going on, Christian?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Well,
Thanks.
Well, all right, here we go.
Good luck.
All right.
First question. A large brown bear named Blades is the mascot of what Boston professional sports team?
Wow.
A large brown bear named what?
Blades.
His name is Blades, which is a clue to the team that he is a mascot for, by the way.
Oh, I'm going to say the Bruins.
There you go. You figured
Nice
it
job.
out.
Nice
That
job.
was a
Very
nice
good.
extra hint right there.
Yeah, a little help.
Here we go. Question
I
number
didn't
2.
even think about it, honestly.
What kind of MLB draft takes place at the winter meetings?
Oh, man, I was just looking at this last night. I don't have a guess.
All right.
Doesn't have a guess.
Just doesn't know much about drafts.
I don't understand the question. I must
What
say.
kind of MLB draft takes place at the winter meetings?
What kind of draft?
Yes.
It's not snake draft.
Lottery? Is that what you're after? Or
No.
are you after the kind of draft? You're not after
The kind of draft.
There is a name for this draft.
Oh. The player draft. I don't know. What do you want?
Player draft.
All right, you're
I'm
still alive,
clueless.
Christian.
What
the
is
answer
it?
was
Let's go.
Rule 5
Oh,
draft.
yeah. Well, I had no chance.
I love the Rule 5.
I had no chance on that.
There we go. Question
Good for you,
number 3.
Christian. Take advantage of your opportunity.
And your opportunity will land right here. What city has held the most winter meetings?
Oh.
New York.
Wow! You got it! All right, Christian, you took advantage of your opportunity and then some.
Nice
New
job,
York,
Christian.
New
Well done.
Stay
Very
right
good.
there. We are going to. I'm going to get you in the break.
That is
Nicely done, Christian.
nice job,
Yeah,
Chris.
that was
pretty
great.
good stuff.
That was good, man. I was going to guess San Diego. I didn't know.
It's hard to remember the last time there was one in New York. It feels like it's been like a revolving, like San Diego, Nashville,
It was going to be in
Vegas,
or Dallas,
Orlando, a couple years ago.
Dallas, but it got canceled
Why
because of
did-
COVID.
Oh, in 2020, it was going to be in Dallas.
I
Ah,
believe so.
all right. Well, that was good by Christian. Nice victory for him today. He wins Chris versus the fans, you will get your opportunity to win tomorrow. We play it every single day.
Okay, a couple things here. White Sox have signed Eric Fetty. His 2-year deal. He was the KBO MVP in 2023.
Eric Fetty?
Yeah, he pitched for the Nationals the year before.
Yeah, he tried to pitch for my fantasy team that year. And he was so good that we sent him to the KBO is what we did. So who signed him now? White Sox?
The White Sox did.
Super Bowl. Wrong sport.
Here's I wonder if Dave Roberts has gotten himself into trouble because apparently, according to Bleacher Report, Roberts' comment surprised GM. Dodgers exec refused to talk Ohtani after Dave Roberts revealed team met with Shohei.
I think Dave Roberts messed it up.
I think he did too. Because which tweet did you just read?
That wasn't a tweet. That was a banner from Bleacher Report.
Oh, okay. Because Chelsea Janes, a very good reporter for the Washington Post, she tweeted a picture of the GM of the Dodgers, Gomes. What's his first name? It's not Ryan.
It is. I know it's not. Is it Ryan Gomes?
No, Ryan Gomes is somebody completely different.
Dodgers GM Gomes says that they aren't going to comment on Ohtani. Acknowledged, quote, Dave made a comment, end quote. Asked by Joel Sherman if this has hurt their pursuit, quote, I have no idea. I think you're onto something, Chris.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something.
I think Dave Roberts has ruined it for the Dodgers. Brandon Gomes was the guy you were looking for there. Yeah, well, I hope Dave Roberts. I mean, I love Dave Roberts. I do. And I know we're not supposed to say that here in San Diego, but he is a San Diego guy. And I did a radio show with him a couple of times back in the day before he started managing. So I like Dave Roberts, but I hope he messed this one up. Just for the Padres' sake. I mean, it's no other reason. I just don't want Ohtani to go to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no doubt. So we'll see how it unfolds because
if he ends up with the Dodgers, then it's not going to matter. But if he doesn't, people are going to
even if it's not the reason,
people are going to surmise that was
100% say that.
Did you guys read this earlier about Bob Nightingale tweeted it. Now I can't find it, but he was saying that there was only 4 teams left in the Shohei Ohtani race.
I saw 5.
You saw 5.
I saw 5. The Cubs have denied that they are not out of the running.
That was a triple negative right there.
Bob Nightingale reports they're out of the running, but the Cubs say we're still in the running.
Yeah, the GM, Jed Hoyer, said that is not true. They are very much in it. And so I saw the Angels, Dodgers, Giants, Cubs, Blue Jays are the 5 teams that supposedly remain in on Shohei Ohtani. And this is only news for us here in San Diego because once he signs, then everything else can start to happen. And that everything else probably includes a lot of Padres stuff.
Nightingale tweets too. I mean, this is becoming a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. But Dodgers GM Brandon Gomes said he was surprised by manager Dave Roberts' candidness about Shohei Ohtani in their private meeting. Steadfastly refuses to talk about their pursuit. So there is something to this.
Or they're just scared of their own shadows at this point.
That's also true.
You know, I know it's been reported Shohei wants some privacy in this, but as our man John Morosi said, you can only expect a certain amount of privacy when you're dealing as you're the top free agent in quite possibly all sports.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
I do.
You know, it's a fun game to play. Like, hey, don't tell anybody I was here. But you are Shohei Ohtani, and
people know what you look like.
Right. So, all right, let's get to break. When we come back, has the NCAA come up with an idea to kind of put a chokehold on this NIL money that's being handed out like monopoly money?
Be hard to believe that they actually came up with something that's going to work.
I can't believe they have either, but we're going to discuss. They came up with something. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast Credit Union. Got a handful of trouble spots here. One of them is a stalled vehicle blocking the HOV lane northbound 805 past
Welcome back. Good job by Christian there. Takes down Chris versus the fans on this Tuesday. 4:21 is the time. Chris Hello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. A couple of quick notes on the baseball front. There's really, again, not much happening at the winter meetings, but Kirby Yates, former Padre, has signed with the Texas Rangers. So you recall Kirby. I believe he was not only an all-star for the Padres, but all MLB back in 2019.
Yes,
Had a phenomenal year. New York Mets agreed to a minor league deal with former Rockies shortstop Jose Iglesias. Well, that'll gut the Rockies. And let's see, the Angels general manager, what is it, Perry
Manassian?
Yeah, that guy.
We'll go with that because I would have butchered it.
He says 100% Mike Trout not getting traded.
Yeah, you don't get 100% very often from a GM.
Got a 100
So
on
that
that
just
one.
means Mike Trout is about to be traded.
No, I don't think
I
so.
think he's going
Alex
nowhere.
Bregman, also GM Dana Brown, says Astros not trading him. So we're getting a whole bunch of denials. We're not getting a lot of action at the winter meetings. John Morosi was on with us earlier. Some of his rumors include Dylan Cease, the pitcher, going to the Orioles. Tyler Glass, now the pitcher, going to either the Reds or Cubs. But we're going to have to wait for any of that to happen. Going to have to wait for Shohei Ohtani to sign. All right. Tony talked about this NIL thing with college sports. Before we get to that, the last time I mentioned any politician on this program, I don't know that I've ever mentioned any politician on this program, but I'm going to mention one now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wants $1 million to be put into his budget so that he and the state of Florida can sue the College Football Playoff Committee for leaving Florida State out of the national playoff. I love that. I think that's just hilarious.
I actually think that Florida State got jobbed, but now I'm rooting against them because they're going to sue.
They're going to sue.
That's
well, at
kinda
least
crazy.
DeSantis says he wants to sue.
I expect that from like Alabama.
First of all, I hope he has other matters to take care of. I believe he's trying to run for president, but anyway, state of Florida
gonna sue the college.
Gonna
football
sue the committee. Gonna sue him.
And what
are the grounds for the suit gonna be? I don't know.
Costing them money because they didn't get to the 4 seed and the playoff money. Is that how that works?
I can't imagine what Ron DeSantis is thinking, but
Wowzers.
don't know that I've ever really quite known what he's thinking. All right. Here's the story that Tony was referencing. NCAA President Charlie Baker proposing a rule change that will allow Division I schools.
Real quick, before you go into this.
Sure.
Charlie Baker is different from the last guy that was there, right? I thought, wasn't his name something different?
The NCAA president?
Yeah. Wasn't it Emmett or
Mike Emmett. Mark Emmett.
Okay. So
I believe he got out because he didn't think
times are changing on him.
Times are changing, and I don't believe he ever agreed that the NIL was a good idea.
Okay.
And I think he told everybody before he left, you may think it's a good idea, but it's going to spiral out of control. And he was correct in that regard.
Yeah.
But Baker now is proposing a change that will allow schools to pay their athletes in ways that are not tied to educational resources. The new rules will create new subdivision of Division I schools that will. It's, you know what? I'm not going to read this because if you're interested, look it up.
Basically,
it's hard to understand.
The
all
schools
this.
will now, as opposed to the player entering into an NIL,
okay,
the schools will be able to enter into these NILs in conjunction with the player.
Okay.
Every school is basically going to have to come up with their own rules, whether it be transfer rules, roster size, and this money is going to be put into a pot. And then that is what they'll use to try to curtail, I think, the wild westness.
They've got to somehow curtail this. I mean, we had Stacy on last week while you were gone, Tony, Stacy Terry Hudson.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the part of the NIL that we don't think about is, what about a women's basketball player?
Right.
How much money can they get? They're not getting $1 million in Rolls Royces or whatever we're seeing from some of these high profile football players. So how does the NIL work for the rank and file? And I think if you can't control the wild, ridiculous spending, I mean, the word is right now, if you want a 4-star recruit to transfer to your school, it's going to cost you about $1 million. In terms of that's what the 4-star recruit can expect to be getting in payment from the NIL.
You ain't got to be a 5-star recruit to get $1 million. You got to be able to be a 4-star.
I think even 4-stars are getting $1 million. So, I mean, the money is just crazy for those guys. But if you can't control that, at least try to come up with some way, shape, or form that some of these other kids who play soccer and volleyball and baseball and women's basketball and everything else can get some sort of stipend, which is the reason the whole thing was put into place in the first place.
I think it should be able to get done because the outliers are, your top whatever recruits. They're going to probably enter into NILs on their own because
they don't need the school's
they don't need the school assistance. But hopefully this can kind of, as you said, take care of maybe the rank and file kids that are productive in the classroom and on the field, but may not have the star power that the top guy on the
and that's a lot more
roster.
Kids than there are that we read 100%. About on a daily basis that are making all of this money.
It's no different than in the professional realm. I know we focus on the Shohei Ohtani's, the $450 to $550 million guy, but most of the people in the leagues are not even close to those numbers. So
no, they are not. Stay tuned and listen for your name. It'll be called at 5:00. Hopefully your name will be. That is our biggest fan contest. If your name is called, you'll be entered for a chance to win a night in the Odyssey Suite at Petco Park to see Padre baseball with friends, family, and all of us, the 97.3 The Fan hosts. But you got to enter to win. Join the biggest fan contest by going to our webpage, 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. And then stay tuned, 5:00 tonight, about a half an hour from now. We will read off the name if Skraby reminds us to do so, because we do seem to struggle with that for some reason.
This was the easy one. It's the 415 one.
The 415,
throws me for a loop. Usually there's nothing I have to remember at 415.
Well, you have to remember something at 4:30 today, and that is the Big Five, which is coming up next on Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Scott Stapp playing Frank Sinatra in Ronald Reagan movie.
They'll have him lip sync. Really, do the whole thing. Start spreading and let's start spreading.
On the clock, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sella, Matt Skraby. This hour is brought to you by Belmar Park's Winter Wonder. It's time for Winter Wonder at Belmar Park. Music every Saturday from 1 to 4. Carolers every Sunday, 1 to 4. Every Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 7. Buddy the Elf will be twisting balloons or see Winter Fairy and Princesses. Join us now at Belmar Park's Winter Wonder. All right, Skraby's got a big five lined up and ready. Now, Skraby, you got some reporting on the whole Cubs being out or in. Jed Hoyer had some words, huh?
He did. He was not happy with Bob Nightingale for putting out this on the internet. But basically, Jed Hoyer went on a radio station and had stern words for Bob Nightingale reporting.
Oh, so he didn't
something.
have these words to.
No, but
Bob.
he was on the air and he was.
So Bob may have not heard these words.
You think? Well, don't you think those reporters get together and they're like, man,
well,
Jed Hoyer went after you,
assuming
Bob.
If Jed went on a radio station, who knows where this radio station is from?
It's Chicago.
Oh, it's Chicago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either he's on phone or he's in this.
Why would Bob Nightingale be listening to some Chicago radio station when he's in
you don't have to
Nashville,
listen
Tennessee?
to know. You don't have to listen to know.
Well, it would have. When you initially read it, I envisioned Jed.
Oh, them like pulling each other aside,
like talking to him, like, "Hey, man, that's some, you know what? That you wrote that. It's not true." Something along those lines. But apparently, he was talking to a Chicago station when he said it. So
I didn't know that was a big difference. Well, I guess it is a big difference.
Definitely
right?
a big difference. All right, is your big five worth a you know what today?
Is it worth?
Yeah.
Yes, it's worth.
I saw that you're missing one.
I am, but I have a special thing for that.
Oh, yeah, it's a special thing. All right, well, let's have some fun with the big five.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few things that might slow you down a bit. On the Coronado Bridge heading over to the island, just past the 5, stalled vehicle taking up that left lane. Also an accident on westbound 8 before Texas Street Qualcomm. It's over to the right shoulder. Also Texas on-ramp to East 8. Got a collision over to the right shoulder. South 5 before the 52. Collision over to the left shoulder. Couple vehicles involved. And an accident has been moved over to the right shoulder northbound 15 at Scripps Poway Parkway. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Okay, before we get started at Big Five, the bearer of misinformation has.
Oh, come on. I said it right the first time, and you convinced me to say the other way.
No, you did. You convinced yourself. I thought that's what you said the first time. Here is exactly what happened. Go
You
ahead,
have so
Skraby.
many nicknames, it's really hard to keep up with them all, but that's one of my favorites.
So it was the original thing that I said that Jed Hoyer had exchanged stern words with Bob Nightingale. ESPN's Jesse Rogers was on the radio station in Chicago, and here's what he said about this.
Came out. So
Yeah,
a little
I would think so.
Yeah, a little inside baseball. Jed spoke with reporters a few minutes ago. As he's walking towards the group, he runs into Bob Nightingale, and there were some stern words exchanged.
Wow.
Some stern words exchanged. Don't know what was said. And this is why, again, I wasn't ready to report it because I didn't have it locked down. And then, I would have gotten yelled at, but that's part of the gig. Anyway, so then
there
Okay,
you go.
so but two things. So I mean, even it appears that Jesse Rogers had heard something similar. He just didn't go with it because, as he said, it wasn't locked down. But this is it. I know Jed. He was a GM here in San Diego. He's about, I would say, 5'9", 5'10".
He's about half as tall as Bob Nightingale.
That's the point. That's the point I was getting at. That would have been a sight to see these stern words coming from Jed up to Bob Nightingale.
Jesse Rogers said he didn't know what was said. He might have said, "Are you going to the honky tonk place tonight?"
I saw Sam Levitt there last night.
Me
You should
too.
join.
But I couldn't find anything to eat late night. He might have just been yelling back and forth about that.
I thought about that on the drive home, though. What big time city has nothing to eat at midnight?
And they shut down early, man. The way I remember Nashville, and I was there, I felt like a lifetime. It felt like everything shut down early.
Man,
You had to be down at the honky tonk joint in order to like get some late night
have some
eats.
life.
Yeah.
Have some life.
Wow. Sam I'm sorry, Sam. Good luck. I know you're not listening. Anyway, so here we go.
Number 5.
This is a listener submission, came into me on Twitter from Aaron. Aaron says, at Matt Skraby, is it possible that other teams are involved that we don't know about in regards to Shohei Ohtani? Could the Padres be in the running too? Thoughts? We could be playing it cool. I thought about this, and if there is one team that will never let anything out that they don't want out, it's the Padres. So they could be talking to Shohei Ohtani and keeping it locked down, unlike Dave Roberts and the Dodgers. Tony, what do you think? Could the Padres be in it?
Question here?
I ended up becoming I ended up becoming one of you guys and started talking about it. But what is the realistic likelihood they're talking to Shohei Ohtani about a contract?
Oh, how realistic is it? They've advanced enough to actually talk contract?
Yeah, talk money.
I would say that is very unrealistic at this point. But I would love to come up here next Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday and say how wrong I was, but I don't think I will be.
All right, Chris?
Well, there wasn't much chance they were trying to get Xander Bogaerts last year, and they ended up with him. So I would never put anything 100% past AJ.
All right.
That's my answer.
Okay.
Sticking to it.
Me too.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Number 4.
Did you guys know that the season tickets have gone on sale for Aztecs 2024 football, and they have lowered the prices? They have listened to the people out there. Kurt Kenny wrote an article about it. I retweeted it at Matt Skraby if you want to go and read the full thing. But here's a little excerpt from it. The season tickets are now going to cost from $200 to $1,200, depending on which of the 6 reserved or priority price points is selected. The price range last season was $250 to $1,500. So they went down $50 in the lowest price range, and they went down $300 in the highest price range. I'm not in their I'm not in their business department, but I think the people who are paying less probably need the bigger break than the $50. Anyway, Chris, do you think this will get people in the stadium? Also, let me say this. They are lowering prices in areas that were not sat in last year. Like it wasn't a popular area to sit in. So, Chris, do you think that's enough to get people in the stadium?
I hope so. I mean, it normally seems to work that way. I mean, you lower prices, you get more interest, but you know, this team has a two-pronged need right now. They need, better access to seats, and they need more victories, and they need to have some excitement, some buzz around this football team. So, as I've said all along, this is Sean Kelly's number one job. I know most people probably think it's coaching a winning football team.
Sean Lewis.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say Sean Kelly. Who's that?
I don't know. I'll look him up.
Yeah. Sean Lewis. Sorry about that.
He's
Sean.
a cyclist. That's what you're thinking.
Right, yeah. Now, I mean, he's got 2 jobs. He's got to win games, be exciting, and he's got to find a way to get buzz around this and get people in the seats. That is going to be maybe even harder than the first part. So, yeah, it's a nice little savings. I don't think people are going to go running to the ticket booth, though, based on that.
Tony, do you think this will get people in the stadium?
I think it'll get a few more people in the stadiums, but I think ultimately it's going to rely on what the team looks like, the health of the program. I think those things will be they'll be more enticing for people to buy seats and come watch the game. I think that's really what it boils down to. If your team is not going to be a winning team, you have to then at least be exciting to watch. And so I think those things will take priority over the price, because the reality is, if the Aztecs were fun to watch and they were winning football games, the original price they had, I promise you people would have paid for it.
Yeah, it might have worked.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. All right.
Number 3.
With the A's moving to Las Vegas, some were looking towards Milwaukee to see what was going to happen with the Brewers because their status with the city was up in the air, but not anymore. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers X'd out today. Quote, today I'm proud to sign 2 bipartisan bills to keep the Brewers and Major League Baseball in Wisconsin through 2050 and ensure future generations will grow up rooting for the home team just like so many of us have. And that's the end of the tweet. So, Tony, is franchise relocation after the A's moved? What are you laughing about over there?
And that is the end of the
Well,
quote.
I was going to read hashtag this is my crew, but then I didn't really want to.
That is the end of the
So, with the A's moving and stuff like, that not going very well for Major League Baseball, is franchise relocation a bad look for Major League Baseball?
Yeah. I don't think it's a good look regardless. But, the one thing that a relocation can do, which I assume was a factor in Milwaukee doing with it, it shows a city that, they will pick up and leave if things aren't, to their liking. And I can't imagine a world in which Milwaukee doesn't have a base. When I say they love their Brewers, they love their Brewers. And so it was hard to imagine, although it seemingly got kind of close at least, but they were able to get something done. I don't think it's a good look to move teams, especially a team like the Brewers that has built such a big fan base. Certainly wasn't a good look for Oakland. But I think the relationship had been so frayed there over time between the fans and the team.
Thanks to Jimbo Fisher or whatever his name was.
Jimbo Fisher.
Mr. Fisher. I don't think it's Jimbo. I don't want
is it? I don't
want to put that on Jimbo.
No, it's not.
John Fisher.
John Fisher.
Yeah.
I think at this point, there's probably a lot of Oakland A fans that were happy to see them get up out of there at that point. But it's good to see Milwaukee's going to be there till at least 2050.
Yeah, 2050 is what they said. Chris, is it a bad look for MLB to relocate?
Yeah, in general, it is. I mean, it's a negative connotation. I mean, it's basically underscoring the fact that there was a place that your sport wasn't popular enough to sustain the sport. So that in itself is a stain on the sport.
Brandon on the stream, if you want to watch us, you can go to YouTube, type in 97.3 The Fan, and just look for our live show. You could also go to X at 97.3 The Fan SD and Facebook. But Brandon writes something very smart. He knew this was going to catch my eye. But he says, relocating is a bad move for any sport. Even your 49ers, Skraby, moving so far out of the city is a slap in the face to the fans. That is true. They are no longer the San Francisco 49ers. They're the Santa Clara 49ers.
That has not stopped Bang Bang Niner Gang from ringing through the streets every time they win.
Damn it. We almost made it through there.
I don't necessarily think that's true in their case. I mean, yes, you can say that they're not called the San Francisco 49ers, but every time I watch a 49er game, a home game, that building is not empty.
No, it's not.
And so, I mean, from an owner standpoint, whether you're in Santa Clara or you're actually in San Francisco, as long as butts are in the seats.
If I was living in San Francisco, there would be possibly more anger, but because I've been so used to having to watch them from afar, but my family had season tickets since the early 80s. And when they moved to the new stadium, they were asking for these crazy seat licenses. And so my grandpa didn't pay it. And they were like, who cares about you and your 25-year season ticket holding? All right. Thanks for letting me get that one out, guys.
Get that off your chest. You good?
Number 2.
All right. So last night I was watching the Monday Night Football game with my dad, and Trevor Lawrence scored a touchdown by doing, he does that quick reach over the goal line and with the ball like very open to everyone to slap it out and all of that. So we were talking, and we think because that requires not a lot of skill.
What?
Just going over the top and reaching real quick, that's not skill.
Oh, my Lord. Okay.
That's not skill.
Okay.
It shouldn't be allowed on the grounds that the tush push gets banned, because that doesn't require a lot of skill either. So if the tush push gets banned, Chris, Should the quick reach over the goal line the quarterback can do be banned as well? This is a Matt Skraby, Tom Skraby question right here.
Definitely
Skraby.
We
I'm going to answer to Tom Skraby. I think what we need to do if you're going to ban those is just let's take away the forward pass as well.
Sure.
How much skill is that
No
involved? Anybody can throw the ball.
Anybody can catch the ball.
Anybody can catch
That's
one.
me. That's me. Oh, I scored a touchdown.
Let me ask, have you ever seen that a ball get batted out of a hand when they did that?
Yeah, I have. It
Of
happened
course,
last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it takes some skill to
There's a
actually
risk.
do it and get it back in before.
What skill is there to running toward a goal line? What is that skill?
He's not running though. He's just going.
No, but I mean, I'm saying if you're going to ban that, we got to ban everything in football.
No, that's not true at all.
Yeah, I think it is.
I don't know why you think some things take skill and others don't.
Can we take away the skill part of it?
Can you see yourself snapping a football and stretching out over and getting a touchdown without it like losing control of it?
Can I see myself doing
Yourself, yes.
If we're talking about Trevor Lawrence's thing last night, it was a.
You said it takes no skill, so I'm assuming since it takes
Can
no
we
skill.
take the no skill out of it? You guys are always so hung on words.
All right, the other day, Alvin Kamara ran toward the goal line, was stopped in a pile at the about the half-yard line, and reached out with the ball and put it over the line.
How
and
long
a
was the
touchdown.
run?
I don't know, 3-yard run, whatever.
Was he being? I know what Chris
He
is
was being
going for, but
tackled,
it's
and
not
then
the
he
same
stuck
thing.
the ball out
and
over
you
the
guys
line.
know it's not the same thing.
It's absolutely the same.
Well, your
thing.
whole premise is not going to matter anyway because they're not going to be able to outlaw the tush
That's
push.
not true. Roger Goodell said he's leaning towards outlawing it.
Well, he says he
he's
doesn't like
wrong.
it. He didn't say he's leaning towards outlawing.
He's not going to be able to. That would to me if I was the Pennsylvania governor, then I would sue.
$4 million in your
for
budget.
millions of dollars because now you're taking away an advantage that my team has.
It's bad for the NFL to do that. The
How?
tush push.
Please
It
explain
is.
to me the criteria of bad for the NFL.
The
How
only
is it
people
bad?
that like that are the Eagles fans.
Well, they're the only ones who can do it right.
But it's not good. Once you get a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 every time it's converted, that's not good football
Okay,
to watch. Good football for them to play, yeah. That's smart.
What was the stupid formation the Dolphins started where they just snapped it straight to
the Wildcat.
I mean, is that
they ran it to perfection for about a month or two until people figured it out. But every other team in the NFL tried it.
They still do it to this
still
day.
Once in a while,
Not as much, but yeah, they do.
Yeah. I mean, the day that somebody is able to slow down Jason Kelsey from getting that push that he gets, that'll be the day that the tush push goes away. But until then, he's the only one that can do it. I give him more credit than Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts just has to follow him. And you talk about skill, that's power, that's agility, that's athleticism. I think
skill.
It's a really remarkable
Falling
what the Eagles do
forward
with that.
6 inches is skill.
Dude, that is not falling
That's not
forward.
what
If you
bro.
want me to gain 6 inches, I might be able to do it.
You couldn't gain 6 inches.
I might be able to do it.
Negative 6 inches.
I might be
Oh,
able
here
to
we
do
go.
it.
Are you going to touch the rim on your way to that 6 inches? How's that going, by the way?
You know, it's going well. I actually went out and I've been working out the old legs.
Listen, this lighter version of Skraby might be able to.
I'm going to do
that's
this.
right.
I'm
You
going
might
to
be able to
do
and
this.
I will make Chris resign because Chris said if I touch the rim, he will resign.
That is true.
I'll sign a new contract the following day. Then.
No. You have to resign. You're done forever.
Done forever.
All right, here's
A lot
your
of people
number
might
one.
like that, actually.
You're empty number one. Here we go.
All right. I'm going to get serious for a second.
Do you have time for this?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So I put out a post this morning. Thank you to everybody who replied to it. And today is 7 years without a drink for me. It's a very weird day for me because I don't really like talking about it as much, but I think today is important. Just because there's so many people out there that are going through something similar or seeing someone go through something. But just know if you're in a spot where you feel like you are hopeless, you feel like you're depressed, feel like you have nothing left to give in your life, then and you are using drugs or alcohol to cope with that, just know that if you bet on yourself and if you do the work and if you go and you find a way to drag yourself out of that hole, it will be the most rewarding thing of your life. And it has been for me, and it has been for many other people. I got a message earlier today on Twitter from someone who said that they are on day 9, and something that I said earlier last week helped them to start. So I appreciate everybody who said something, and just know you're not alone. I felt like I was alone for a very long time.
How many years?
7.
7 years.
2,556 days.
Congratulations, man.
Thank
That's,
you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm often in here when Skraby gets those messages, and he's always kind of mind blown that people are paying attention to him. But it's a constant reminder that, I mean, even though we mess around on this show a lot, what you're doing is something that's pretty spectacular that a lot of people are, right now at this very second, are struggling with.
They are definitely struggling with it. It's going into the holidays. If you're alone, please, call someone, go make some friends. I mean, and go to an AA meeting. There are plenty of people there that you can hang out with, you can talk with, but just do right for yourself. Thank you for the podium, guys. All right, when we get back, Mike Shildt in Nashville talking at the winter meetings on 97.3 The Fan.
Wednesday will continue to monitor
go into the happy hour of Gwynn and Chris for a Tuesday afternoon. I believe at 5 o'clock we're supposed to do something, Skraby.
Go for it.
So you want me to do it?
Yes.
Well, how about that? I remembered, so that's a good thing. It's time for today's biggest fan. What?
He says that I remembered, and I feel like that was a backhanded shot at me.
Oh, well, no. I mean, just one of us
I
remembering
think
is a
we
good
typically forget. I think
Yeah,
that's
we've
where
been
it came
forgetting
from, buddy.
too often, but we didn't forget you, Paul Jaime of San Diego. That's Jaime. I guess it could be Paul Jamie or Paul Jaime of San Diego. Paul, you're today's biggest fan. So give us a call at 833-288-0973 within the next 10 minutes, and you could get registered for a grand prize. That would be 20 tickets to see a 2024 Padre game in the Odyssey Suite, to watch a Padres game with your friends, all of the fans, show hosts. And if you out there want a chance to have your name called, to register for our grand prize, visit 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Do that before it's too late. The Biggest Fan contest is presented by the San Diego Seals. Actually, you did a really good seal last week. But that was,
I don't remember. You put me on the spot.
What was that?
That was awful.
All right, it was.
Last
I think
week
it was
you
actually
were good. You did.
That's what it is. Sorry.
You were really good. Much better.
Wait.
What did you do
sound did
before?
you
I
confuse
tried
that?
to do the dolphin sound as a seal, but it
Yeah, that didn't work.
it didn't work. You're right. It did not work.
Anyway, thanks to the San Diego, whatever that was, Seals. Tickets are on sale now at sealslax.com. All right, Paul Jaime, and I apologize, Paul, if it's not pronounced that, but Jaime. Paul, give us a call, 833-288-0973. All right, updating you on what's happening on this Thursday. The short answer to that is not a lot. Everybody seems to be waiting for Shohei Ohtani to sign his free agent contract. It's apparently down to 3 or 4 teams. The Dodgers are one of them. We know that for sure because Dave Roberts told everybody so today. That is seeming to start getting a little criticism around the baseball circles, because remember, Ohtani said he didn't want his name mentioned and any of the stuff sneaking out before he made his decision. We'll see what if that really matters. But other than that, Kirby Yates is with the Rangers now. The Angels are not going to trade Mike Trout. The Astros are not going to trade Alex Bregman. And everybody keeps standing and walking around in Nashville waiting for something more cool than that to happen.
John Morosi, though, said Tuesday night into Wednesday morning is where the action happens.
Right. John was on the program a little earlier with that information. Some NFL stuff. Trevor Lawrence does have a high ankle sprain. Jags are not saying for sure how long he'll be out. Remember, Patrick Mahomes miraculously played with a high ankle sprain in last year's AFC Championship game. We'll see where it goes with Trevor Lawrence. They're not saying he's in or out. Kenny Pickett, the Steelers quarterback, had a high ankle sprain, and he had surgery already earlier this week to accelerate the healing process. Yeah. I mean,
I've been waiting like 6 months to get in for surgery.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett.
You're going to have to make the NFL.
Yeah. Come on, man.
The day you make the NFL, you can get your surgery. This is normal for high ankle sprains. What Patrick Mahomes did last year in the playoffs is not normal.
No.
So we will see what ends up happening there. Tommy DeVito is going to remain the Giants quarterback following the bye week. So good for Tommy. Brian Dable said Tommy earned it. We went back. We watched all the tape, thought he played 2 good games. He did play one good one, at least, a victory over the Commanders a couple of weeks ago.
He's really capitalizing on his New Jersey roots right now, and it's very smart.
You know what I think I like about him? Is that he genuinely doesn't care what anybody thinks about him staying at his mom's. And like, he's fully embraced it. It's not like it doesn't seem like it's like a shtick at this point. Like
it's for real.
He's like, I live here. This is what I'm doing. You can like it or not like it. I'm still going to play quarterback on Sunday. Like, he just doesn't care.
Today was also the day of the weekly meeting between Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh.
Aaron Rodgers had some salty things to say today about his own organization. He was upset. The word leaked out that his quarterback and teammate Zach Wilson apparently did not want to go back into the starting lineup because he's worried about getting hurt. Rodgers said, we have got to figure out where that leak is coming from and put a stop to it because that has no place in a winning culture. Wilson, for his part, apparently did go to meet with Coach Robert Saleh and say that he did want to start this weekend against the Houston Texans. We'll see what happens. Saleh says he's not going to decide until Wednesday.
I will say this about Aaron. He is not like a company guy. Like,
no,
he's
bigger than the company.
He's going to say what he thinks is his truth, right? And in this case, I have to agree with him. Like, we shouldn't know anything about Zach Wilson, quote unquote, not wanting to play for whatever the reason is. Like,
right.
That had to come out of their own building in order for us to know that. And now, Robert Saleh's got to go in there the next day and be like, oh, of course Zach wants to play. Why wouldn't he? Why are we even having this conversation in the first place?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is right. He's 100% right, and I don't think that very often.
No.
NBA, the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
Whether you love it or not, it's that was Skraby's reaction to it. It continues tonight. The quarterfinal matchup, Bucks lead the Knicks 46-43.
Guess what today is, Skraby?
In the second quarter. Lakers play Phoenix later tonight.
Taco Tuesday?
Is what's that last part? Tuesday, weren't you complaining about there being no games on Tuesday?
Yeah, but they confused me because yesterday was a
you know who wasn't
day.
confused?
Who?
The folks in Indiana. They seem to be live and in effect at their game.
If we had an NBA team, I would be out there front row.
No, you would.
Yeah, I would.
You would.
You wouldn't be able to afford that, Skraby.
Yeah, let's be honest. You might be right about that, but there is something called a media credential.
You would want to go, is what you're saying.
You wouldn't get the good
The last
media credential.
NBA game you were at, you had the short shirt on. Are you sure you want to go back to an NBA game?
I'm not going to be wearing that same shirt. LeBron James is not going to point at me and laugh to all of Anthony Davis and some other people. It's not going to happen.
Pelicans and Pacers advanced to the semifinals of the in-season tournament last night. One good college basketball game ongoing right now. Florida Atlantic, which played the Aztecs in the Final Four last year, playing Illinois in the Jimmy V Classic. Illinois has pulled away to a 74-63 lead, 9 minutes to go in the second half. Aztecs basketball at Grand Canyon tonight. And before you scoff, the odds makers have the Aztecs as just a 2.5 point favorite. All right. Do you want to get into some Mike Shildt?
Let's do it.
Conversation today at the winter meetings in Nashville. Mike Shildt talking to media. He also did a stand-up interview with Sam Levitt that you can watch on X or on Instagram or wherever you so choose. Just search 97.3 The Fan, and you'll see Sam's discussion with Mike Shildt. But here is what Mike Shildt had to say about the players he's spoken with already and about what he thinks can be improved upon next year.
There's conversations about it. Again, we've talked about the past. I think it's more about being aligned in the future and being proactive about what the group's, strong preferences are, individually, and then what our group non-negotiables are. And by the way, that sounds like a really good thing to say. I got it from AJ Ellis, so I'm not by no means going to come up with this one. I think it's great. We're using it. But yeah, just making sure that we're hearing everybody in an individual sense, create the relationships. Everybody understands that we're going to do this together and as a team, and everyone has their opinions, and that's valued. The great thing is we have a lot of players with high level of experiences, championship caliber experiences, high level of playoff experiences, a lot of time in the game. That being said, we don't want to minimize guys that are also coming up that also have experiences and make sure their voice is being heard. And then we bring it all together and create a identity of how the Padres are going to compete. So that's the process we're going through right now.
I love everything he has to say. I mean, I really do. It's going to become more and more apparent to everybody as he continues to talk is that He's invested in these individuals, not as players, but as people. And when you get into a season, and a long season at that, that's what the players ultimately want to know is are you invested in them in that kind of way? And that's not a thing that every manager possesses, you know. That's not how every manager operates, but that is going to be how Mike Shildt operates.
I just found out our Wednesday night softball games are going to be 5 minutes shorter starting next season.
Oh, I was like, what
Really
is
upset.
happening over there? He was very upset.
He was intense over there.
I
see
flung
him,
my
like,
phone to the
he
side
did.
upon hearing the news.
5 minutes less. That's it.
Instead of 55 minutes isn't long enough for a game. Now it's going to only be 50. I'm only saying that because I wasn't paying attention to anything.
I was just
anybody
about to
said,
say, thank you for paying attention, Chris.
Yeah. Are we done with that segment, or do we need more Mike
No, we
Shildt?
need more Mike Shildt. We
We're
need
done
more
with that
Mike Shildt.
question.
I thought this was
Completely
kind.
tuned us out.
He did. I thought this was kind of interesting. So Mike Shildt was asked about his contact with Juan Soto.
You notice how Skraby's just taking over
I'm
the
just
segment since I'm not paying any attention.
I mean, I thought something bad happened to. I was
did
like,
too. I'm
oh,
not
do we
gonna
need to
lie.
go to break?
Let's hear what
But
he had to
here
say
is-
about
yeah.
Juan Soto's
Yeah,
relationship.
Juan Soto and his contact with other players.
Yeah, I've texted with Juan. Have a trying to get down. I'm seeing a lot of our players. Had dinner with Joe, Manny, Campy. They were in town when I was in San Diego. Going to go see Crony on Monday. Going to take me to a Chicago restaurant. Looking forward to that. Have on the calendar to see Juan on my way down the Dominican. Juan, Toddy, Bogey, and Aruba. So little sun for middle December. But yeah, I've had some good texts with Juan. Think highly of him. Good relationship.
Mike certainly is not one that he could use some sun.
He's
for
already
sure.
got everybody's nickname down.
He could use some sun. And the other thing I was going to say is he's going to eat well in this next week. I mean, he's going to Chicago, great eats. He's going to head down to Dominican, great eats. Aruba, I haven't been there, but I'm sure great
I'm
eats.
sure Xander Bogaerts got something.
I'm
ready
sure they
for
got
him.
them all lined up. And that's the other thing. He's going to eat with some pretty wealthy cats.
Mm-hmm.
So, I imagine these will be
Would it be wise of the player to pick up the bill, being
was
as
gonna
he's the
say,
guy that
this
fills
is a
out
good-
the lineup card?
This is a good question, right?
Because
If
the
I was
manager's
a
kind of
player-
like the adult.
If I was the player, I'm picking up the tab on
I would
this.
certainly
Nice.
offer.
I'm picking up the tab.
I'd
Skip,
better
I got
offer.
you, Skip. What you need? Yes, go order what you want, Skip.
Order
in
anything.
that case, $1,000 worth of whiskey, please.
Have at it.
Whiskey?
Yeah, just bring it to me.
Coming from a guy that's on
Has
7 years.
of
Why does your mind
sobriety.
go right there?
That's why I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
That sounds fun to me.
All right. All right, Mike Shildt, ladies and gentlemen.
We got you through it, Chris.
5 minutes, man. I'm never going to get that back.
Oh my gosh, we're back to
My
that.
softball games.
We're back to that.
I didn't even tell you guys why I was so mad on the golf course today yet.
I didn't hear this.
I didn't hear this
haven't
either.
told you guys yet why I'm so mad.
All right.
I
Well,
was
now you're gonna have to tell
furious
everyone.
today. Absolutely furious.
Okay, you gonna leave us hanging?
What's going on over
You gonna
there?
give it
Well,
to
it's
us?
5:14, and if I tell the story now,
I
Skraby
know,
will
I
have
mean,
an-
I'm just
have an
waiting to go to
attack.
traffic.
We'll hang on to that. We'll hear the story when we come back. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is
5, 22, and 5 seconds. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. We went to break, but my man Chris Ello teasing why he was so upset on the golf course. Yeah. Furious.
What do I don't know if you guys know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. What do I hate almost more than anything else when it comes to human behavior? Anybody?
Wait. Say that one more time.
What do I hate more than anything
in your
else?
backswing?
No,
Honking in your backswing.
That's ridiculous, but comical. No, what I really dislike about human behavior is people who go through their daily lives as if no other person on earth exists.
I was actually thinking about that.
I can't stand that. I really can't. I mean, that means like cutting you off in traffic and not acknowledging it. That just means just being rude in general, not really even knowing anyone else is around.
get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team
on a week of FanDuel is offering online
Gwynn and Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. Hopefully out there you're being respectful to those around you. That's what the last segment was all about.
Chris was being disrespected.
No,
Him
no,
and
I
his
wasn't.
foursome.
Personally, people were just being rude.
You know, I got a tweet during the break.
What'd you
and
get?
It said if Chris was nicer to Skraby, these things wouldn't happen.
You didn't get that. That's not a true. You didn't get that.
You might have, but it had nothing to do with what happened today. And
I made that up.
I don't believe I could be nicer to you based on the way you treat things.
Well, how do I treat things, Chris?
Not great.
You're not the greatest. You're not the nicest guy.
I am a nice guy.
You're not the nicest guy, man.
I am. I'm
I
very
have
nice.
to say.
I'm very nice. You know who wanted to sit next to me at the Christmas party? Ben and Woods, Adam, and the crew.
Yeah.
You know who didn't want to sit next to me at the Christmas party? The guy at the not cool table, Chris.
There was no room left at your table after you were busy over there schmoozing up to the morning show.
I would have moved over and allowed you a seat.
Paul, you better watch your back, man. Skraby's trying to.
Oh, is
he's
that
trying to
right?
move in on your territory,
Is that
man.
right?
Telling you.
I just don't get how somebody who works on one show sits with all the people from another show at the Christmas party.
It is kind of whack. Just saying.
I mean, we spend enough time together.
We spend enough time together.
That's all I got. We spend enough time together. I mean, we should actually. We need to do a show team building thing.
A show team building thing? How
Us
does
three.
that look? How does that work?
Well, we're gonna do some trust falls. Chris, I got you.
Who's catching who?
I'm catching Chris.
I'll root for Tony, and I'm going to sign up for Tony to catch me.
You don't trust me.
Nope.
No, I was thinking now that we're talking golf, we've said this for like 5 years now. We have to go golfing this off season at some point before Tony gets going on the Padre thing again.
The three of us.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get behind that foursome we played behind today.
And I'm gonna ask Charlie Hoffman too. I just made that up. So I'm gonna ask him. But
I don't think
he'll
Charlie
play with
wants
us?
to play with us.
Yeah.
If I was Charlie, I wouldn't want to play with us.
I wouldn't either.
Oh, that would be so cool though. I would.
But then
love
again,
to play
you don't
with a
want to play
PGA Tour
softball
player.
with Braden and I, and that's
not true.
That's not you, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I think
That's
that
'cause
goes along with
I'm
the
a
same.
retired baseball player.
Well, Charlie's not a retired golfer, so maybe he would. I just feel like it's a no-win situation. That's what everybody thinks the Aztec game is tonight at Grand Canyon. Like if they win, it doesn't mean anything. If they lose, it's going to hurt them. I look at it completely differently. I think it's going to be a great experience game for the Aztecs tonight. This is a tough place to go play. I mean, if they get a win, fine. If they don't, not great. But it's the experience that you're going to get playing on the road. You get
100%.
so much better playing in
that whole
quote hostile environments. A lot of teams don't play on any road games until they get into conference play.
Yeah, no, this is what I think separates the Aztecs program is that they aren't afraid to go on the road and face some tough teams, whether that be in a neutral site tournament, as we've seen them do in the past.
Yeah.
But either way, it always seems to come back into play at the end of the season when they have to travel the tough Mountain West and having to go into all these hostile spots, and they have some experience in doing
You can
it.
lean on the experience.
Absolutely.
I mean, I want to win tonight. They're only a 2.5-point favorite. Grand Canyon is very good. They're 6-1. But I find it to be a positive, a thumbs up to Dutcher and this team for going out and playing this game, and hopefully they'll win it tonight. And I mean, so many teams are scared to play games because they don't want to lose. Well, again, how are you ever going to get that experience? I mean, the only away games that anybody in the ACC ever plays are conference away games. They don't play any non-conference away games. They don't want to risk it. There's something wrong with that. You should not be punished for playing tougher opponents on the road.
That is true.
Because that's why they don't have as good a matchups as you'd like. Most good college basketball games in the non-conference are, as you said, Tony, neutral site games.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go play at somebody else's building
because they're going to be penalized for it if they lose.
Like if it seems to me, if I was coaching, maybe I wouldn't if I was actually coaching, but like I'd want to play at Duke. Give me the hardest possible scenario so that my guys can experience that. And then when we have to go to Colorado State, it'll seem like a piece of cake.
You know what that made me think of? It
What?
was completely off the basketball, but it made me think of whenever that NCAA football game drops.
Yeah.
That is the way that you always get to the top. You could take a team like San Diego State. You got to load your schedule up with top 25 teams. You got to go there and beat them. Boom.
Yeah, that is actually the way to go. Tony's absolutely right. Put yourself against Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and just any of those
consecutive
teams.
weeks. You got yourself a chance.
And then play the game, and you'll probably win because it's on regular, and then you'll get ranked faster.
Bam, there it is.
Real quick before we get into this interview with Jon Morosi, Mark Ziegler tweeted out something. I reposted it. It's a picture of the court at Grand Canyon University, and he said, "Place is already rocking. Can't express in words how hard it is to play here." And once you look at the picture, you'll figure out why. You're basically on top of the court as a fan.
Wow,
that is insane.
See, that's the kind of building that can create a home court advantage.
Yeah,
like if you look at this picture, they are right on top of you.
I gotta see it.
Yeah,
it's pretty sweet.
At Matt Skraby or at SDUT Ziegler.
Aztecs are going to find a way tonight, baby. They did not play well Friday night at UC San Diego. They come back stronger than ever tonight. We'll see. That game actually starts in about 20 minutes at Grand Canyon. All right, we're going to wrap up our show with the update from the baseball winter meetings. That's what we've been following as closely as we can for you this week. Jon Morosi, MLB Network. He's the guy that's breaking a bunch of the stories.
Did you almost?
No.
I think you did.
No, I didn't. I've never come close to swearing on the air.
Tony,
what?
That was close.
I don't know what you're even referring to.
Okay.
Here's the interview with Jon Morosi.
From the 97.3 The Fan.
if his desire is for no one to ever talk about what he's doing or where he's going, there are a great many careers that he could do that would afford him that level of anonymity. He's chosen a different one. Okay. He has chosen a different one. And it's amazing. I do find this rather funny though. If we're really being honest here, it's amazing that through this whole process, the watchword has been anonymity, absolute privacy, total discretion, and then signs the contract and, oh, where's the marketing deal? Where is the marketing deal? And where are we going to make the additional income? And so I find it to be a little curious for me. But again, I'm from a small town in the Midwest. And that's kind of how I tend to look at things. But it was a very interesting a bit of circumstance. He's going to make a ton of money, and we're all going to be excited. And I don't think at the end of the day he's going to get up there at the press conference and say, I was going to sign with this team, but then someone acknowledged that they had met with me, and so I totally changed where I want to be for the next 10 years based on one conversation. I do not believe that's the case.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't either, John. But it is funny that out of all I'm sure he's met with a bunch of teams. The Dodgers were the first one to say. Everybody else kept their mouth shut and even reluctant to even say they met with him. I found that to be kind of funny. It's the only time I ever can remember it happening in recent media time.
Right. And obviously at the end, last year, I mean, it was a week ago or a year ago this week that Aaron Judge made that final visit there to Petco Park. And eventually we got to hear about that a little bit. Yeah. May have taken a few hours, but we had heard the Padres were in there and they were in there at the end of the day. And then they made a very strong offer. And so we know that is all a matter of public record. And then several hours later, Peter Seidler pivoted and signed Xander Bogaerts, which is just an extraordinary thing for an owner to do in that moment. So I just think, and again, Aaron Judge wanted there to be discretion within reason, and he got it.
Yeah,
there were a few moments during the course of the playoff of the off season where his meeting with the Giants became a little bit public, and then the back and forth with the Yankees became known. And you know what? He signed with the team he wanted to sign with, and he showed up on opening day, and there was a massive ovation, and everything was great. And so and I'm sure Shohei is hearing this too. Go where you want to go, okay? Don't make a decision about the next 10 years based on what did or did not get out through the media. This is a public forum. We the people who love baseball, are in a certain way driving his salary by talking about him and buying tickets to go watch him play. So at some point, I'm never going to say that you owe it to the public, but there also needs to be an acknowledgement by stepping back and say, wait a minute, if no one bought a ticket and if no one bought a streaming subscription and if no one watched us on cable TV, there would be no money for anybody. Right. So I think that sometimes in these moments we get caught up a little bit in what this agent or that player or that executive wants to have happen. And I think we kind of forget that the emotions of the fans, to be honest with you, are what keeps this whole enterprise going. And I do think that we've got to remember who's paying really all of our salaries at the end of the day, and that's the fans.
John Morosi joins us here, MLB Network. John, now I'm stuck asking questions about Ohtani because he seems to be holding up everything else that's happening. Considering he just had Tommy John, have you heard like what teams are looking for in terms of the pitching side? Is it going to be incentive based, or are there teams out there that fully expect him to get back on the mound in 2025? How is the pitching element working for Shohei?
That is a great question. And I think that the number one thing I would say is that he clearly wants to keep doing both.
Okay.
Like it's his desire to do it. I think we got to start there. And does that mean that he's going to be a starting pitcher? Perhaps. Does it mean that he could also come back as a reliever? That's another option. There is probably a decent degree of skepticism, and it's warranted, by the way, that he's going to be able to be a starting pitcher for all of the next 10 years, or even 9 of the next 10 years if you take away 2024 and expect him to come back in 2025. Just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers of pitchers who are still starting 30 games a year every year when they're in their late 30s. Even even Max Scherzer, who is fanatical about his routine, the way he takes care of himself, he missed a lot of time this year. Adam Wainwright, at around the age of 40, just couldn't answer the bell anymore from a standpoint of giving consistent quality starts every fifth day. Justin Verlander has missed some time. They all miss time. It's just the reality of the human body. And so I think that day is going to come probably at some point during this contract, Tony and Chris. So I think it's a great question, and it's an important question. The only thing that I can say is that for any of these teams that are involved, you cannot look at Shohei Ohtani as if he's any other player and say, I'm only going to sign him if I get this return on my investment and this number of innings and this number of games played, because he is a brand. Yes, he's a player, but he is a brand. He is a marketing powerhouse. And when you add him, I would say it's almost like adding part player, part new addition to your stadium that people will want to come and watch and enjoy. It's like he's like premium luxury seating unto himself. You know, that's who he is. He's someone that brings the people in. And I would say this, he brings the people in no matter if he's pitching or hitting. He's just him. Being on the field is what brings people in. The question that is almost unanswerable is how it would change his value if at some point he's a reliever. And so if I'm going to buy a ticket to watch this team play, I'm buying a ticket with the expectation that I'm going to see him hit, but then I might see him pitch. But I'm not sure about that part. That's the variable. And I just wonder how the value paradigm shifts to where, you know, in this day and age, you could probably do dynamic pricing. You know, Tuesday's a Shohei day. We're going to increase our ticket prices by 15, 20% because it's a Shohei day or it's a special premium demand game, however you want to describe it. Can you do that? Would fans like it? Probably not. But do they like having Ohtani on the team? Of course they do. So this is where it becomes an economic conversation at some point, and really it's all an economic conversation. And for that reason, the additional language, and honestly, this is where I'm really curious to see this. Is there going to be a gap in time between the signing of the contract and the actual, or between the choosing of the team and the actual pen to paper? Because think about all the different moving parts you can see here. I mean, we're going to be testing the limits of the CBA on this. Do you have some level of profit sharing, of attendance-related clauses? Typically, you can't do that. I don't know. He's so unique. I'm not sure what other things that we could think of that could be part of an agreement that have never been part of any previous agreement. And I think that's where the attorneys involved, the lawyers, the agents, everybody, they've got a lot of work ahead of them, because this is not your standard baseball contract. It's like an entertainment performer contract who pitches and hits all at the same time.
John, we got a couple minutes left. I'm curious, and we'll just use Ohtani as the example, but as one of the great reporters, insiders from MLB floating around the winter meetings, how is this story going to be broken? How are you going to find out about it? How is somebody else going to find out about it? Or is somebody going to be able to keep it silent enough to call a press conference, get everybody gathered, and go, all right, here is the team that is signing Shohei Ohtani?
It's a great question. I don't think it's going to be the last one. In terms of it, there being a degree of a cone of silence until it's actually broken. We'd love to have it live on MLB Network. I mean, I'd put that out there for Shohei's reps, and we could probably book that right now if you want to come and do it live on the air. We'd love it. But it's also possible that is there an elaborate Instagram reveal that's going to happen? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, last year I was really fortunate to be able to report the Aaron Judge news to the Yankees. I only got that because I was in San Diego. I was in your beautiful city, and it was my wife's birthday, and I live in Michigan, so I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning to be able to call her, wish her happy birthday before she went to work at the hospital. And lo and behold, I got a text message with some pretty good information in it, and I was able to break the story. So really, I mean, that was me rolling over at 5 in the morning in my pajamas. So it wasn't anything. There was no like trumpets blaring and a symphony behind me. There was just rolling over, rubbing my eyes like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. And I just said, I called my wife and said, hey, thank you. You basically did it. So that was how that one broke. And I tend to think that this one will either be the most elaborate scoop and reveal ever, or it's going to be something like that. Probably won't be me, but it will probably be somebody who's fortunate and gets the scoop, and it's going to set the whole meetings down their ear, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, John, as always, man, money when we get you on the air.
I think it will be you, John.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be you.
Let's hope.
We're pulling
I'm
for
going to keep working. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate two great teammates like you guys, and keep me in the loop. Tony and Chris, anytime. Always love catching up with you.
All right, John, take care. Thank you.
John Morosi getting it done and getting us the latest on another day that has gone by in the baseball winter meetings with Bubkas, otherwise known as nothing.
Rock.
Zero.
Well, tonight is the night, though, according to John.
That's right. John says tonight into tomorrow morning, expect it to break loose. We will be there. We'll also be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock for another show. Gwynn and Chris, look for you then. Have a good rest of your Tuesday evening, everyone. For Tony, Skraby, late.
Peace.